Я как бы это, почему-то думал 5,5 это вот как у айфона вот этого примерно экран.
Ты чё?
Когда он пришел, то я что-то немного запереживал.
Недоразумение это сравнивать.
Нет, я имею в виду размер экрана.
Блинский, блин.
5 versus 4. They look for Warlock. Chilling Spite to get the slow. Adwanda will land the stun, and everything else they just pile in there. And it's time to keep on pushing in this one. G4 pops his own. He's got nowhere to go on this. There's the kill. Another TF Ghost comes through. 007X is trying to run away, but that's 3 kills picked up in sequence.
Another successful bait there for H2K. Grab themselves a couple more kills, and they're going to return to the Baron. 007X still alive, doesn't have flash, but he can try and sacrifice his life and go in there for a steal.
Would you be able to do it, Kobe? Would
Nope.
you take this one?
If you know my
Kobe's
history,
known for
I'm
making
notoriously poor at Baron smiting.
You had 5 years to practice, come on.
Like, to put it this way, he was replaced by St. Vicious and it was an upgrade. In they go, though. 007 gonna get jumped on. The rest of the team can take the Baron down, but he's not gonna want to stop. He jumps down the press. Odawamna's on a rampage. 007's still there. No! Down he goes, and there's the blue team picking up Baron Nashor. The kills now far apart, 20-10. 2 more plus the Baron.
All right, we'll see if they can get more done with this Baron power play than previously. It should be a lot easier because they already have super minions flooding in the top, and both waves shoved here for H2K.
And you can get a dragon again. Maybe this time it can do something.
You're such a dragon hater, though. I'm surprised you even brought it up.
Secretly, I want it to do well. I want the dragon to do well.
Positive reinforcement from Deficio here. How to train your dragon.
Hopefully next time the Baron power play can be gold earned plus dragon ghosts.
I mean, this is gonna be the one.
What's the dragon ghost power play? That's what I want to know, you know, over the course of this game.
So they didn't get a mid tower, or they did after the
What about
fight,
the
but-
G4
Oh,
play?
dear Lord! He's gonna go down, and he can just run and hop and skip and jump away. Pops the H2K swag, but it's not gonna be enough. A shutdown comes through for Lloyd.
The unseen Quicksilver Sash is indeed the deadliest. If you go in expecting to have the stun lock to work with, Odawamne turns it around on him real quick and able to pick up the kill. He does end up going down, but it allowed the shove here from H2K. They're inside the base. Another inhibitor going down.
And if you're looking for a stun lock, unfortunately, it's still Mininar here, so he can't have one just yet. A nice Zhonya's Ryu buys some time. Mid lane goes down to the Dragon, and now that Dragon is into the fight. Moss getting chased down by Ryu shouldn't be a hard one for him. Hjarnan steals the kill away, as is his right as the Mordekaiser player. Big engage from Kasing, knocks up 3, and the Dragon is still chasing the enemy AD carry. Lloyd's got to be careful, and down they
the
go,
dragon
a
value.
double kill. The Dragon value is big on this one. All is well. There's a triple kill. They're going for 4. Now will it be the pentakill?
Go, Dragon, go!
Mordekaiser. The Dragon takes it. In they go. Warlock says no. A double kill for him. Hjarnan tries one more time, but it's not going to be happening. Odawamna just not good enough to give his Mordekaiser a pentakill. There's the Warlock stun lock. Ulti's it in, gets the shutdown. At the last minute, they kill away some of H2K, but it's not going to be enough. There's the Nexus. There's 1.5 million minions. And there's the game. H2K pick up their first win at Worlds.
And Mordekaiser got his first win. Undefeated. Was first picked.
13-2-10. I mean, a good scoreline as well. We played around him pretty well.
I think this entire game was just one big team fight around Mordekaiser.
Yeah.
No matter where he was on the map, we would just see everyone be there and try and fight. The Dragons wasn't the key thing here for
Left something
Mordekaiser.
to be desired there.
Yeah, well, Bangkok Titans tried to test H2K's metal, but Mordekaiser is the master of it, so unsurprising that H2K came out victorious here. And that's going to do it, by the way, for all the Week 1 games for these teams. Now, every single team from Group C is on break until the next week's group stages. And these guys now have about 4 to 5 days to prepare everything back again and say, okay, here's the last run of the group stage. Bangkok Titans 0-3.
Sure.
not a good start. H2K still have to hope for that one kind of upset.
Yeah, H2K can go back and still rewatch like the SKT and EDG game and say, what did we do well? Let's try and do that again. But where did it go wrong? Were there a few openings we missed? Weren't we confident enough? You know, was it the pick and ban phase? Because they're still obviously going to chase towards getting that second spot, getting out of the group. Let's just say EDG loses again to SK Telecom suddenly.
Yeah.
That one match is going to be so key between H2K and EDG.
Yep.
But it's obviously still going to be so difficult for Bangkok Titans. I like that we saw a different kind of game from them. This was not the, hey, let's just have a bit of fun and try and go all in. They legit had a strategy and tried to shut down the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, they did what they could with it, but unfortunately, like, Kasing stopped all of it. Like, if there's a player I'm going to watch for, I mean, Mordekaiser's fun and all, but Kasing played out of his freaking mind that game. I mean, he would pop his ult while headbutting to break a stun so that he could flash pulverize afterwards. I mean, so many amazing plays. He would turn around and walk back into a hook, then ult it, and then go kill Moss. Like, just, this game is honestly a Kasing highlight reel. The Kasing effect, you talked about it earlier, but I mean, his individual plays at such a high caliber. I'm actually really glad he's at Worlds.
Well, I'm happy too
agree.
for him because he deserves it. Looking at just his overall performance all year long, people would highlight maybe towards the end of Summer Split and playoffs, he went down a little bit in terms of level, but so did the rest of the team. It was like, I think, to me, it was the entire team who kind of dropped. Now they're obviously trying to pick up the pieces. They are no longer the top 2 team in Europe because Origin took that spot and showed that yesterday as well. But they're just still trying, and coming into next year, still a very young team, probably first year for him as a coach. There's a lot of things here working for them and a lot of things they can still improve on.
And they're very good early on in the game. Their first 15 to 20 minutes actually is one of the very best in the league. The lane swap game is good. They understand that decision tree. It's when it gets beyond 20 minutes. Monte Cristo quoted a stat about H2K that they're 1-9 if once they have 1,000 gold deficit at 20 minutes, because that end game is not good for them. We saw the evidence of that in this one. How long it took them to close the game out. Right, all the dragon ghosts did very little, as you were happy to point out. Their sieges, their dives often misfired here, despite the big leads they were having.
Meanwhile, Lulex and Kasing are preparing for that interview with Shox right now. We will speak to them in just a moment.
All right, so what are our final thoughts here about these teams? We're not going to see them for a week. We saw the end of the Edward Gaming SKT match. What's Group C going to be like?
I don't think we're going to see any more Mordekaiser in Group C, but EDG sitting very comfortably at the top, undefeated still.
Yeah, SKT taking them down. Yeah,
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant.
SKT, EDG, you know.
Yeah, they're basically the same team.
I mean, this is what we expected coming into the group. SKT, EDG fight for number 1.
Yep.
H2K tried the best to maybe keep up, and then Bangkok Titans probably coming in and having a tough time in every single match. So I'm just happy to see more of a serious game for them as well. Pick and ban wise, and the way they played out the early game, and how they tried to challenge H2K and did make it easy for them to just go in and close the game.
So the continual plays from G4, constantly using TF teleport to try and make plays, to try and punish H2K every time they did offer an opening.
So that was his attempt there. We're going to see what else these guys can do next week, but for now, we're going to check in with Shox, who's standing by with some of H2K after their first win at Worlds.
Thank you. Yes, more specifically, Lulex and Kasing after that victory of H2K over the Bangkok Titans. Let's dive into the game a little bit, because Mordekaiser was left open for the very first time. Did you guys tunnel on that very hard because of it, or were you prepared to go and play with him?
Well, to be honest, we didn't expect Mordekaiser to be open, because Mord has 100% pick ban rate, so I assume, we're never going to play Mord. But when they left open Mord, it was kind of Mordekaiser is super OP right now, so yeah, we just picked it.
Super OP, yet it came close in terms of kills and Bangkok Titans' engagement overall. How did you live the game? Because you guys were the favorites coming into it, but at some point it was pretty close.
I think it just comes to the fact that we didn't get much practice with Mordekaiser in scrims because it's usually banned, but since it's 100% banned, we just felt forced to pick it, and we just knew it was OP. We just had to play the comp right, get the first Drake, we just needed to get the other one, and it happened. So
a lot of 5-man knockups by Alistar helped a little bit as well, Kasing.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit. Stepping away from this game, you're now 1-2 in this group. It's safe to say that you're total underdogs in this group that is very heavily stacked. You guys went to boot camp in Korea after the group draw. You tweeted, I don't know if it was serious or not, you guys tweeted, well, it's over, boys. GG. Has that changed at all? Because honestly, you put up a decent fight versus EDG yesterday. You have a win here, and you have some time to practice now.
Well, I don't think it's completely over, because we have to play the game, so it's actually over. But I mean, at the time, we were just very good because we had SKT and EGG. But I still think we can maybe take off a game from one of them. But hopefully, you know, we're lucky.
Alex, what do you think?
I mean, in the day of the announcement, we were a bit depressed and stuff because it was really unlucky. But then we reminded ourselves that it's just a best of one and anything can happen. So we just kept on trying in Korea, and I think we have a shot.
Obviously, Lex, for you personally, there was a lot of criticism on your play from all sides coming in at the end of the season. How have you personally dealt with that?
I just try to ignore it, honestly, and just try to focus on my game and improve.
That is the best way to handle it. And with all of that, you still had all the fans here chanting your name. Rather, is there anything you'd like to say to them?
C'est la première fois que je joue en France. Et voilà, et franchement, je me trouve super et on a encore. Et ouais, on a encore une game contre EDG et SKT et on va tout donner pour pas vous décevoir. Voilà.
A big thank you from Lulex to the super fans here and saying that they still have a chance versus SKT and EDG and he's going to try not to let them down. Well, you guys have a win on the board already. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it is about in Group D between LGD and KT. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Look behind you. Look at Keanu's face. Momentum now.
I'm so cool there. Lands the stun. There's the flash pulverized. Headbutt him backwards. Exhaust on Yarn. And doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. There comes the rest of the team. Fight.
He finished yet? Okay, good. Finish. No E. No here. Carry.
The TV coming in. They don't kill the turret. Yes, they do. They stop it, and Moscow's down. Warlock's next. Almost everyone. And down they go. A double kill. The dragon value is big on this one. All is well. There's a triple kill. H2K pick up their first win at Worlds.
Сразу срабатывает? Смотри, вот инструмент. Welcome back to Worlds. Pyrotechnics here. I'm joined by H2K's Prawley. And I wanted to get your impressions because last year you were on the desk, and this year you're here with your team. What do you think of the competition so far in Worlds 2015?
I like how there's a whole lot of really good teams, and it's not like super, obvious who's going to win. I like the chance of upsets, H2K or SKT kind of upset. But other than that, there's just like really high competition this year, so I like that we have to look out for everyone.
Absolutely. I really wanted to get your impression, too, on who do you think is a team to watch out for, the team that you have your eye on specifically?
Well, EDG dumpstered us really hard, so we have to keep an eye on them, but I think the biggest one still is like revenge on Faker for Ryu. I know we got a little bit in the first game, but we're going for the second time revenge for sure.
Coming back for more, I like to hear it. And of course, do you have any takeaways from the first two days, and of course, what you've had from today as well?
I don't know. It's like the competition isn't as hard as I thought. Like I said again, there's not like super clear-cut winners for every single match. So the fact that we're at least in the same ballpark playing the same game is like kind of a comforting feeling, I guess, that, we're not playing out of our league. We just have to, step up our game and play like basically 5 times better.
We'll have to see if it happens. Once again, that's going to be it for us. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Pyrotechnics. H2K will be happy with that win. We'll see, though, if they can do slightly better the next time around against EDG and SKT after those words from Prawley. But we're going to keep the action rolling with our next game, LPL's LGD versus Korea's KT Rolster. LGD faltered yesterday and fell to the number 3 European seed, Origin. Now, what do they need to do to turn things around today?
Well, first thing, I don't think Origin is the number... They technically are the number 3 seed, I get that, but they're a very, very good team. And LGD aren't a team that are used to playing these best-of-1 formats. And even during the regular season in their best-of-2 formats, they looked horrible at some stages. So, they're just going to look to see if they can get through this group stages, get back towards the best-of-5s where they can learn and adapt in between games, get their hard carries rolling, and then they'll be completely fine. So, for right now, the inconsistency with LGD, everyone talks about it. So, it's not anything new.
And we have to go back to that regular season and say, well, LGD was bouncing around 8th, 6th place in the LPL for a lot of the season, and they battle back well in the playoffs in the last couple seasons, but they don't usually start off very strong. So we'll see how it goes. I think they still are a favorite to obviously make it to the quarterfinals, but I expect them to up their game once they hit the bracket.
Yeah, they definitely strike me as a best-of-5 team looking at both of their splits that they played. But also, coming in here, TBQ was rather exposed in Champion Select and in the game. They put him on the Vi. I don't think he's played a game of Vi that we've seen from him yet. So it was definitely a champion that he didn't look as comfortable on.
But once again, this isn't anything new. Teams tried to do this to TBQ, then do you know what happened? Kog'Maw, Diana, Fiora start getting through pick ban phase, and the rest of the team just smashed them. There's no way that you can let them have their priority pick.
And that's something that I thought that they dropped the ball on yesterday as well, because they went for a mono-threat composition with Imp when Godvi is such a great player in the mid lane. Putting him on Lulu, great, it's up, but not putting that on Acorn and then giving some type of carry to Godvi, I thought was a big oversight there.
And I don't think LGD, I think they have to adapt. Don't first pick the Lulu. If you have to ban it on blue side, just go ahead and do it. Try and get something there for TBQ, because the rest of the team has broad enough champion pools to fill in adequately.
We saw an element, too, of what you said yesterday, Monty, with the questionable Baron calls out of LGD, feeling pressured to do something in that game to claw their way back into it. But I do want to hop over to KT Rolster now, that had a slightly better start to their tournament, beating Team Solo Mid handily. And part of that start was Peekaboo.
Oh, Peekaboo was absolutely on fire. He's been having a great tournament so far, and his multi-man pulverizes and team fights have been setting them up perfectly for success. This one here, 3-man, he is leading the charge, and he's been a huge part of how Peekaboo picked up their season near the end and got them here to this tournament. So Peekaboo, I thought, he brought the shot calling, the things that helped them end the game, which was always a problem for KT.
Yeah, and to springboard off on this Peekaboo point, sure, you can ban the Thresh, but he's a very good Alistar player, too. Normally, he can default to Janna or something like that, and I think it's how many bans are you going to throw at Peekaboo in the draft? I don't really see that as a viable option because you open up too many power picks. The thing about KT, though, that I want to highlight, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I didn't actually come out with the numbers on this. KT's a very first blood reliant team. If they get rolling early, Peekaboo and Score take over. If they don't, they have trouble. And realistically, this team, if they get first blood, they win 73.7% of their games. If they don't get first blood, they win 33.3% of their games. There's a 40% gap. Now, that said, they get first blood in 67.9% of their games. But if you can play aggressively early against KT, they are not very good at playing from behind.
And the best thing about that is that their one, I guess, weakness in lane is their mid laner. They tried to attack it yesterday, TSM, but he's just an absolute brick wall. He doesn't give up anything. And then team fights beautifully. Nagne is just such a rock for them in that mid laner. And then their two side lanes are just beastly when they go up head-to-head into any matchup.
Yeah, I feel like they've been putting a lot of resources into Someday in the mid and early game, and he's definitely been carrying them so far in this tournament. So him alongside Peekaboo in the side lanes, if they're freed up, it definitely causes a lot of problems.
Yeah, Someday definitely had some big plays there on the Darius in that game as well. Well, it's time to test your precognitive powers. So Spawn, starting with you, predictions for this matchup.
I think the LGD game was an outlier. I believe that LGD is still one of the better teams. I'm going with LGD.
That was a reserved prediction, though. That wasn't very confident, if I may say so myself. There was a lot of hesitancy there.
Well, the thing is that I hope it is, but they have snowballed this kind of thing for some weeks. So they don't have weeks to get out of it this time.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you, Spawn. I'm going to pick LGD. And I agree that I think yesterday was a big underperformance. I also think that KT looked far more solid than I expected them to. I don't think these two performances that we've seen, or one performance rather, from each team, are going to be indicative of their run through this group. So I think LGD is going to take it here, especially because they have blue side. They can get that jungler for TBQ, and then they can eliminate some of the weaknesses we saw against Origin.
Oh, man. You're a KT fan, Monty.
I am a KT fan.
So, yeah, I think you win in this prediction because you're either right or you're happy.
Yeah.
So no matter what
I've
happens.
hedged my bets.
But I am going to disagree with you guys here. I'm going to pull for KT on this one. I think Someday is the best top laner at this tournament in competition with Marin, and I think that he's going to have a good time. I think Peekaboo's going to run around the map. And I feel like TBQ was exposed, and I want to see that happen again here in Champion Select. I feel like KT have the edge if the pick and ban goes slightly their favor.
Well, there's more than enough for us to keep our eyes on in this game. It's time to see if LGD can shake off yesterday's loss. So let's step inside Ladakh Pullman for picks and bans.
Thank you very much, guys. We're going to get ourselves jumping right into Champion Select. But first, real quick, the starting lineups on your screen. Let's start with the blue side. LGD Gaming, the #1 seed out of the Chinese LPL. Acorn up in the top lane. TBQ in the jungle, hoping to shake off yesterday's game. Godby's still an amazing man in the mid lane. Imp, the big AD carry for this roster. And BYL, the man so many want to play with on support.
And on the red side, it's KT Rolster. Up in the top lane is going to be the MVP someday. Jungle will be Score. Mid lane, Nagne. He had some troubles, so he bounces back. AD carry is going to be Arrow, and supporting him will be Peekaboo.
Now coming into this pick and ban phase here, we just heard the analysts talk about how can TBQ get a better jungle pick for himself on Divide. We know something he's played before, but he really looked off yesterday. The weird thing for me was LGD banned Gangplank on blue side that allowed Origin to ban both Lee Sin and Rek'Sai and remove them from him. If you just leave that Gangplank away, you force the other team to ban the KT in this case, they will ban Mordekaiser, ban Gangplank, you will get at least one of the top 3 junglers in Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, and Elise for TBQ.
As they mentioned on the analyst desk, I think the blue side for them is going to be really important.
Тебе какой аукцион? Мои бес светит вон дома в холодильнике. На самом деле еще как бы это... Сейчас придумал, как все это проводить. Доза этого беса просто там надо вообще... Там проблема только в том, что если все...
It's a hit. It was too one-dimensional. I think still Lulu mid with a carry top laner is a very, very strong composition. I think that was the mistake maybe from LGD. Malphite at too low damage, and then of course Vi, who fell so far behind.
You know what? I think we might. I don't want to jinx it, but we might see
all 3 open right now.
With you know, every single 100% pick ban champion. There's the first one getting dropped off, but there's still the Elise, the Lulu, the Mordekaiser, the Darius.
I'd ban Mordekaiser here and say, LGD, do you want to play Lulu again? Here's your chance. But if you do that, we take the Elise pick. Lee Sin has been banned away from TBQ, so we want to try once again get a strong jungle matchup. I think Rek'Sai though is a fine enough pick and trade that away for Elise, but we just need to see more from LGD with this Lulu.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the thing is, it's not really about you know, getting the stronger jungle pick. It's about denying from TBQ so that you can force it.
Doing it, they're basically saying, do you want Elise or do you want one of the top tier picks? Lulu Mordekaiser that can go on the other side.
Lulu and Elise are the top.
And
Not yet.
Well, LGD can turn the tables because KT can only take 2 of those themselves, so then they at least get it. Exactly, they at least get it back.
Again, you would then figure that KT would want Mordekaiser and Elise for that absolutely insane early game power, and say, you know what, LGD, you're gonna get the Lulu. Darius late game, his damage is okay, but he's not a massive threat up there. It will still be about Imp's DPS.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of early picking the Darius because you can run the Gnar into it. You can even run the Fiora into it.
And the change, yeah.
I think it's definitely the least valuable of the 4.
Yeah.
They had to change it here. They don't want to give away the Elise. They want it for TBQ. He had problems yesterday. We know it's a big deal for KT Roaster with the score and Peekaboo together. The early power they put up. We heard all the talks about how strong the early game can be.
The real question is, though, do they pick Mordekaiser if they rely so much on Peekaboo's roaming? Mordekaiser needs a support with them. He's not really someone that you can leave like that. We always mention the supports and how good the supports are that are able to get off good roaming, but also the AD carries surviving while their supports roam also deserve a point there. So,
and it's worth noting that KT don't even seem to care about these pick and ban trends, these 100% champions, because there's still a couple left open. They're leaving the Darius on the table. They're leaving the Mordekaiser on the table. They don't care.
So here's what KT is doing. Kiting is so effective versus Mordekaiser. Because if he can never get to one-shot that target with his ulti, get the ghost in a team fight, if he can never really stick to a target because he's a slow melee champion, he never gets to do too much in team fights. So what they're doing is saying, you know what?
Друг за другом такие, одни из комнаты перешли, другие следующие заходят. Ну да просто были там как раз пришла друг за другом.
Они не говорят, они нам идите в тот зал, там, что вы пришли, надо сначала родители, а там они бедненьким сразу пришли и говорят, там, вот эти, проходите, пожалуйста, наверх. Мы пришли. Так, через 15 минут как вы начинаете.
For LGD, plus they have the, even though Sivir was nerfed and you need to be near her to get the full activation of the speed buff, a lot of pick here with the double skill shots coming from Thresh and Elise.
But it's going to be a weak bottom lane with the Sivir. Can't really punish these Giacomo compositions too much in the laning phase. She gets outscaled already from level 6 and has a hard time trading. But obviously they're looking to try and speed up the game then and not allow KT to sit and scale up towards late game. We've seen so many times in the LCK where KT Roaster get control in the early game in terms of vision, and then they just played a very slow game, you know, allow your carries to scale up and just make sure the other team can never make an aggressive play against you where you don't see what's going on and you can always counter gang it.
So Juggernaut, very opposite of the competition here for KT Rolster. We still don't know if that Lulu's going in the mid lane or the top lane.
But this is so smart from them in saying, hey, we leave Mordekaiser open. We will continue to target your jungler. We know that in LGD...
Выбывшего Хохрякова встает полностью на ближайшие там 5 километров.
Как считаете, у меня только знакомых подключаю, вас трое.
Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be having some technical difficulties, so the analyst desk is going to jump in here for Champions Select and possibly the game. We'll see. The time is now, gentlemen. Well, so we've seen a lot of this play out. Let's try and play catch-up here. Thoughts so far as we've seen the Mordekaiser fall all the way through Champions Select?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get picked up here. And they also picked a Varus here for the mid lane for Godvi, just to have a poke champion as well. Against the Braum, though, it is a little risky.
First pentakill of the season, LPL, Godvi, Varus. He's a freak on the champion. Do not underestimate it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely still a very good pick for him.
Poke conversation.
Yep. But he's the only poke on that team.
I really like this from KT.
Last pick.
Dude, they get so fight into 3 physical
It's
DPS.
so dangerous to go poke competition against red side.
You can't do this. LGG's massively lost his pick and ban phase.
KT's comp is super good.
I love to play around the Mordekaiser. I absolutely love to play around it.
Yep. All right, they're told to wait on the game until we can get the stream back up, it looks like. So before the Malphite came in, so was the Varus pick just wrong because it was like going to be a big opening or what?
So the Varus pick came in, obviously as the last rotation here for LGD. They took the Varus. They want to make it a bit of a poke composition because they see, obviously, they protect the AD carry comp from the side of KT, meaning the Malphite last pick is going to be so key.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're trying to do poke against the Juggernaut composition, which could be okay, but it's against red side. And KT, with the last pick, get that hard engage so they can try and get right back to the Varus, and they can break that poke comp. Plus, KT extremely smart with their first 2 picks. Although they didn't ban Mordekaiser, you build your first 2 picks against it, then you effectively deny it through the early round picks.
That was such a smart pick and ban phase. Knowing that TPQ had a bad day yesterday, there's been an issue, during the season. He wanted a priority pick for himself, so they went for Elise. Lulu was suddenly open, great against the Mordekaiser itself, so they have now a counter pick in case they want to play Mordekaiser on the side of LGD. And the Braum as well. It works really well in that sense. The team fighting power we're going to see from KT is going to be absolutely insane.
But what's strange to me as well, when you look at LGD's pickups there, as soon as you saw Braum Lulu picked up, I was like, oh, they're going for Juggernaut. This is the most obvious tell in the world that Arrow's going to be picking up Kog'Maw. They've got already 2 defensive champions. You saw the hover on Gragas as well, which even further betrayed that they were looking at that champion. And then they decided, wait, we can hold on to this one. And then LGD, they don't get any more hard. Like, they picked up Sivir, which is a bad lane matchup, but then don't even pick up more hard engage to go alongside it. They didn't find any more ways to dive into this one. And then say, you know what, never mind. Let's go poke after all. Let's go pick up a Varus in the mid lane with no other pokers on the team. And I'm just very confused with the LGD lineup here.
I mean, starting this game for LGD, there's a timer going. Basically, you cannot go late game. Your Varus is going to fall off completely. Your Sivir has no chance versus the scaling of a Juggernaut composition. And you have this Malphite who's going to be stacking armor because you have Hecarim top against him in the 1v1 lane. So you basically have a setup here for LGD where they have to massively win the early game, but the only main engage is the Hecarim flying in with home guard to start the fight, and then Varus maybe with his ulti trying to lock someone down. And there's so much protection on the side of KT, and good lane matchups as well.
There's a lot of protection, but their late game damage will be lacking. If LGD can start to snowball, they've got a Malphite in the top lane, they've got a Gragas in the jungle, they've got the Lulu for the mid lane. So it's going to be all around Kog'Maw. Obviously, it's going to be all around Kog'Maw, but there is a Hecarim on LGD's side.
Yeah, so real quick, guys, for you guys on stream, we had a power outage in our production truck here, so we streamed it down for a second. You guys missed some of the picks and bans. The game itself was unaffected. The picks and bans played out completely normal. We then stopped the game, and we're going to be starting it in a little bit here. So to recap the lineups real quick, because some of the pick and ban was missed. LGD had their first pick, Elise, and they grabbed Sivir. Basically, they've got Hecarim top lane, Elise in the jungle. Mid lane, Varus was picked up late in the draft. Sivir there for the AD carry, and the support was it Thresh?
Thresh as the
support pickup, yeah. So Varus was last pick on the blue side, but very late on in the draft. So KT Rolster, their very first 2 champions, they had picked up Braum, plus that Lulu, and you were talking about setting up for the counter pick of the Mordekaiser. They grabbed the Kog'Maw, so they've got this Juggernaut comp coming through, a Gragas for the defensive jungler pick, but then the very last pick on the red side was Malphite. Once they saw the Varus mid come through, Malphite top lane for someday, the hard engage, to be fair, is here for both sides, the top lane, but getting into the Kog'Maw seems much more difficult.
Yeah, and much easier for KT to pull off. The instant effect of a teleport Malphite coming in is definitely going to be a big tool for them to get to that early game, to get to the Trinity Force for Kog'Maw so they can start knocking down turrets.
And also LGD's side, Varus mid lane, Sivir AD carry, Hecarim top lane. It's all physical damage coming in. It's heaven for Malphite. You can stack armor and be nearly unkillable. Gragas is going to do the same with the Syndicate first and building tank after. So their front line for KT is going to be massive. Adding a Braum shield to block some of the damage coming from 2 AD carries. It is going to be so difficult for LGD unless they show something in the early game where they managed to get a lead over KT.
Red side has been so important on 518, and KT really strong draft phase.
Love to see the crowd though.
Yeah, yeah. I've for this year most in particular been actually more of a, like, I always kind of believe that the sides were closer, but really this year we've shown that red side, I think, almost has an edge over blue here, because even though we heard the analysts that say, oh, you know, blue side they can get a jungler for TBQ here, but that's so abusable. You get to pick one champion and give away 2. That's exactly what happened here for KT.
It was so predictable for KT.
Oh yeah.
What was going to happen? So okay, we mentioned very quickly when Champ Select started how, oh, maybe they have to worry about banning Mordekaiser and Gangplank, so they can only remove one of the junglers, not both Lee Sin and Rek'Sai. I said, you know what, we don't care about Mordekaiser. If we leave as much open as possible, especially the Lulu, so we have to counter pick in case they go for Elise.
The zone control from Braum, so much defense there to control the battlefield, make it hard for Mordekaiser to move around. You don't even want to pick it into that.
No, and that's why we didn't see him picked. He's been banned in so many games. Last one was the first one he got through. He won the game, he was first picked, and now he's not even being picked because of these comps.
Yeah, and this game marks now 2 champions falling off the 100% pick ban list. Darius, unseen in this game, the actual aggressive diving champions of Hecarim and Malphite picked instead of him, and also, as we mentioned, Mordekaiser falling off. Compositional counters exist here. We still, of course, see the Gangplank on the ban list, the Elise picked up, and the Lulu picked up early on, but the trend's changing a little bit here. Now, as a quick update for you guys, of course, Champions Select did play out off-stream. In real time right now, they're going through the picks and bans one more time, blocking in champs. That won't be on screen for you, but the game is about to get underway.
And we just get to see the fantastic crowd here
in
Paris, keeping themselves entertained, making it awesome all the way through. We can see them, and we feel the energy during the games. When big plays happen, they go crazy.
The in-house casters, Chips and Noir, also Sean's and Nono, if you guys remember those guys from the competitive scene, bringing you the cast live on the stream here in Paris, France, and it's been wonderful. They are so amazing at keeping this crowd entertained. It's absolutely wonderful. These guys are some of the best commentators I've ever been around.
So a little update as well, now with the competitions. Nagne on the Lulu is running teleport in the mid lane, but we have the Varus pick for Godfrey just running Ghost and Flash, so we have a good advantage. Just enjoy this.
25 seconds of picks and bans are counting down. We will have those lineups on your screen in just a short while, and we will get into one of the biggest matchups of the day. It's actually a great day overall of games, but LGD somehow have started out 0-1.
The game for KT is going to be control. If they can control this early stages of the game, then they're going to be sitting very pretty here. Malphite's got a very clear build path. They can rely on the Lulu Kog'Maw. LGD do have some surprise cards they can pull out, though. You know, Elise Thresh pick, never underestimate.
No, and like in 2v2 in the top lane, when you have a Hecarim running an offensive summoner spell and Elise, that's a strong 2v2 you can use.
Alright, well guys, you at home, please keep involved with the matches. Vote for who you think's going to win this one. Use hashtag LGD win or hashtag KT win to vote. Let us know how it's going to go. LGD so far have been the victim of one upset, and based on pick and ban and based on Zyreen's prediction, it might be a second one here. KT Rolster finally the first world championship for the organization. They started out strong with their win over Team Solo Mid. Now looking good heading into their game against LGD. This number 3 Korean seed could make a very deep run at this world championship.
So let's take a look here at how LGD can play the early game, because we talk about how there's a timer on this game. They don't want to go full late game against a Juggernaut composition. It's very difficult for Varus and Sivir versus Malphite and Gragas and Braum when it comes to dealing damage in these fights. But we just quickly highlighted Elise and a Hecarim. That's a strong early 2v2. So LGD, to me, would be happy, honestly, taking a standard lane and try and use TPQ and the early game power he has of this Elise pick.
Upset the lanes early, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see if that happens. LGD do have more range cheap in the bot lane. They could maybe get a bit of harass down on the pick and bow and arrow.
It's a lane that LGD can push very aggressively in the start and try and deny CS.
Also trying to get a lead on the double AD comp here with the extra poke is exactly what LGD want to do. They want to try and get that lead for Godby, start rotating around because they have so many skill shots to throw out in the siege.
And we can see both teams are still on the bottom side with the dual lane, so LGD are looking for those standard lanes. Play around it, start up by getting Akon going, use his teleport then to take his advantage and move it to the bottom side of the map. You gotta start getting out outer turf. We're looking like 15 minutes when we have the tier, when we have a brutalizer on the Varus, and of course some levels under his belt for his Q, and then the Sivir with the fast pushing. That's where LGD is really gonna kick in and start creating map pressure. Those 3 outer turrets have to fall in the mid game, otherwise KT can stall it too late.
Yeah, basically what LGD do, they have Sivir annihilate the creep wave so that it's very clear by the turret for all these skill shots to come through for the Elise and the Thresh to set up poke damage.
They're going to match the 2v2 top after they saw what happened on the map, but they're coming in very, very late to very late. No, not even. They're not going to miss anything, so never mind that one. I even thought KT were doing a camp at level 1, but obviously they were straight in lane. So we get the 2v2. LGD were looking for it. They found it. Can now send Akon back down to the bottom lane with his own level 2, and of course, somebody will do the same after this double camp.
BYL takes over the ranged minion aggro there first, then Imp is able to auto-attack there without getting the return damage from the ranged minions. Nice little 2v2 micromanagement there from the LGD bot lane, and they actually took control of the lane. Now they're shoving with Sivir despite getting there second.
Yeah, even though Sivir doesn't have the greatest matchup here, it changes with your support. Again, it's always 2-man down in this bottom lane, so having the range support on your side allows you to play really aggressive with pushing in the lanes, and you have the safety of a lantern as well from PYL. So good start for LGD and exactly what they want to get this composition going.
Well, certainly an interesting start as they've given away the blue buff to Malphite to start out his laning phase, so someday they're hoping to get him ahead on Acorn here, and that will be a matchup to watch.
Yeah, it's that race. Anytime you are facing so much physical damage, you want to bundle as much gold as you can into the Malphite so he can start stacking the armor. And he doesn't get behind. TBQ here, though. We talk about damage coming in very early. Wants to get Acorn ahead. He's got Ignite.
Knocks somebody into the wall. When is he going to go for the flash? Goes for it there. Last possible second. Gets away, loses health.
Really like to play Someday, saving his flash, waiting for the minion wave to come down and flashing behind them as well. TPQ, of course, was delaying his own snare or stun just to see where is he going. Can I try and predict it with my own CC? But we mentioned it. The 2v2 of an Elise and a Hecarim is very, very strong, and that's where he went first. Got good early wards, and meanwhile topside is covered for PYL and his own ward, and just constant pushing again and again, pushing into the tower.
Meanwhile, Score's gone back very early. He's got the wards now. He can come down and supplant some extra vision for Someday. While Someday does have the flash disadvantage here, he can get some vision for him. Elise can easily go for lane ganks as well, though, so you still have to be cautious.
And this mid lane matchup, Godby and of course Nakne. Just looking at Nakne, normally the guy looking to farm, not the big playmaker in the mid lane. Strong team fighter for KT though. Doing okay. For the Virus, it's just about getting some levels under your belt, get the first Brutalize to get your tier in, and then start sieging with this lineup. Lulu typically can't do a whole lot when she's standing so far back if you're just shooting her with arrows.
Keeping my eye on TBQ here. He actually just got the Raptor buff as well. They had a ward in the brush when the ward over the wall from Score was placed. He can go use his Raptor buff to clear it out, but he's just sneaking in for a lane game. Score, meanwhile, has his eyes set on mid, trying to target this Varus. Can get a summoner spell, at least out of Godby.
Oh, perfect positioning.
Oh!
Wait, flash forward!
Flash by Godby, yeah, flashes the wrong way, it seems, and there's the first blood picked up. 2 summoner spells down for Godby, first kill in for Nagne.
You cannot afford to make these mistakes when you're running the composition that relies so much on your mid game.
Plus, that was both summoners spurn. So not only did he flash into the middle of the lane because of the good positioning from Score getting behind him there, but he blew his ghost and he died in the end anyway. There's still a flash here on Nagne. He can go in, turn you into a cupcake, and Score can repeat.
And just a very easy and simple gank for Score here on the Gragas. There was no vision around the mid lane really to spot him. Walks in, even a safe gank had TBQ been nearby, they would still have gotten so much damage on Godby at first, they would have been okay. And great start for him. He was really on fire together with Peekaboo yesterday.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Score doing great things for his team. Peekaboo just keeping the lane afloat as much as this push is happening. Very good mechanics by Arrow and Peekaboo, keeping all the CS in that bot lane. They're basically identical.
Yeah, luckily for Godby, he's got his tier on Varus, so now he basically sits under his turret and can see us still all the way up to the middle of the lane, firing off arrows.
Such a funny item for Varus, because normally, having tier, when you didn't fully stack it, you get that big spike in damage and it's awesome. It didn't really matter for him too much because he auto-attacks so little when it comes to these fights. Instead for him, it's just about getting the mana and then getting the armor penetration in. It's always been key, so him falling behind is a big deal, obviously, because he also will stack just the tier itself very slow. He has to upgrade it first, so he gets a bit more from the auto attack when it comes to getting mana back.
Yeah, plus because his poke comes from the Q, the normal ability, he levels it up much quicker than something like an AP Kog'Maw in the mid lane. Can max it out by level 9.
Oops, somebody finds TBQ. Chokes down a few spiderlings, stun comes back, and he's gonna run. Ooh, good flash.
I like this play though. You know he's going to flash it, but it's an ulti traded for summon a spell. Always worth it here from Sunday. Just forcing that, even at backup coming, so New could go completely aggressive.
Yeah. And Sunday's the guy who got ganked. He lost his flash 4 minutes ago from a gank by TBQ, who has not come back down there. Sunday is doing pretty much just fine minion farm-wise, and looks like he's no worse for the wear at all.
Yeah, plus look at the deep wards that they got during that. Score goes in also. So deep wards here from KT. The early Sightstone picked up, whereas Elise TBQ went for the Amp Tome, trying to get to his jungle item completion first.
Yeah, going for Runeblade really wanted to show it's about early mid game for him. He needs the extra damage, can even go for more magic penetration with his boots if you want to. We have seen it a few times. Obviously makes you very squishy in these fights, but LGD knows that if they start getting to these late game fights anyway, TBQ will not be much of a tank. He has to get rolling early game with the team. So far, small CS lead in the bottom lane. Same for top. We saw before here Akon was staying in lane and getting some farm, but Arrow is doing his best to keep up.
Well, Imp had the luxury of free calling when he wanted to, so the BF Sword Sivir gonna do fairly well and has some bonus potions as well. We'll see how good the harass ends up being there. Good spell shields.
Yeah, and this is the point you really hate as a Sivir. Once you start hitting level 6, your ulti is not very useful when it comes to trading back and forth, and instead Arrow can just keep firing these long range ultis in his face, and Sheen as well makes it very good even against a BF Sword target when it just comes to the quick trade.
Yeah, the W active auto attack in itself is a very big win there for Kog'Maw, but PYL so threatening right now, not allowing them to move up, and retains control of the minion lane.
The hook on Peekaboo. Problem is, Braum is actually very good in the Sivir. His shield actually stops her W from bouncing, and it kills the back half of the Q. So Peekaboo, even though all these hooks come in from PYL, and he's landed a ton of them, Imp is not a champion that can actually do a lot of damage back for the Braum.
He's playing so aggressively though, Imp continually shoving this wave in, not giving them any time to try and go for trades in the lane. And LGD, they just continue to push up here to retain control.
And that's what they can do for now. It's so hard to pull off a gang for TBQ because we have the double side, or we have the side stone early from score to get a lot of vision down. So what LGD can do is to say, you know, we're gonna wait instead. We don't have to win the game now before 10 minutes. We know we have a big spike in the mid lane with the Varus. Severie, once she starts really being able to fast push waves with some attack speed under her belt, that's really what they're gonna wait for before we see them go super aggressive. For now, just push the lanes, chip down these towers slowly but surely, because then you can get them a nice engage.
Arrow stood still, just taped a hook, and now Pikabu's gonna come back in. Here's the teleport coming in. A flank as well, and there comes Someday. The two-man knockup, and actually Arrow's still all right on this one. Acorn's TP didn't mean much. His ulti burned for nothing. Luluwalt gonna try to make it happen. The knockback.
Score!
Oh, man.
LGD though, making that aggressive teleport with Acorn is so risky. You're against double TP on the side of KT.
Yeah, and I wanted to cut in there too because Score had made his way all the way down the lane. So Arrow was baiting right there by standing still under the turret, and they had the trap set.
That's the thing for LGD. You do not have to pull the trigger pre-10 minutes. Wait for your composition to kick in, then start taking down towers. By slowly chipping down outer turrets, that rotation you can do where you just get 2 or 3 of them and suddenly a massive chunk of gold, it's going to be very simple to pull off once they start landing some poke that really hurts.
It's really unfortunate for LGD that last auto attack did score the killing blow as well. Kog'Maw needs that kill. Now he's going to get off to a good start. They can have an earlier Trinity Force for him and get to grooving.
Oh, that's a good ult for Godby. Nocturne Force to take some aggro, and he's going to be fine. Chuck for 300 health, but not enough.
It's good though. It's good from Godby. Again, he slowly gets to hit this mid lane tower. Build it up for this 15-minute, 16-minute mark, and then we start seeing the domino effect where 3 towers just drop, boom, 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 and suddenly LGD gets the goal lead from it. And that's what they need to then get the map control later on. For now, just continue doing what you're doing on the side of LGD. No fights.
Yeah, big hiccup though down bottom lane.
Might be more important. Like this matchup is so bad for him.
No, goes down. Good stun, good everything. Great pickup by KT Rolster. It's getting worse and worse now.
Pays for the constant pushing there. And Peekaboo plus Arrow able to combine and kill him again.
Imp right now with flashbacks to Season 3. Sitting and underperforming with his team, of course.
Yeah.
Dropped out of group stages. Nobody expected it.
The Lantern used pretty early there as well. Not even picked up, and they couldn't gain the distance.
Yeah, it was dropped for the shield, and then, yeah, Imp grabbed it without even getting any distance. Yeah, just unfortunate there. Acorn in a battle with Someday, but Someday's winning this battle pretty hard. Bergtreds versus a Chain Vest. That's not really close.
No, Acorn is built to join his team, where Someday can just take these trades so effective with all the armor.
Yeah, the slow burn of the Bombing Cinder not to be underestimated. That's what Malphite does. He wears you down.
And it seems like it's a metaphor for the rest of the game. LGD as a team are getting worn down. Attacks to the mid laner, 2 deaths to their AD carry. Kills spread across to some of the best sources possible. Good Lantern. And of course, interesting for Imp, he wants to spell shield these Kog'Maw ultimates to get some free mana, but that leaves windows where Peekaboo knows there's no way to stop Glacial Fissure or even just a simple Winter's Bite Q.
Once again, though, LGD they're so far up in the lane. They're drawing so much jungle attention. Score comes down yet again through the lane. They might make another play here if Peekaboo is able to land.
They should know better.
LGD has just been too eager, really, to pull the trigger in this one, especially that Acorn teleport down to the bottom lane earlier. Like, those are the kind of plays you can't afford to make when you're waiting for specific timings with your champions, because then you simply give KT the opening to start picking up early kills, and it only gets worse when it comes to the scaling we see. Godby can continue to get some good damage on mid tower. That is the key thing, and now we see TBU come in. So again, it was slowly chipped down, and then you can make the play where you're sending 2 or 3 guys and take it. That's what you need to get the goal lead.
Nicely done right there. They timed the roam actually off of the blue buff being taken by Nogden.
But again, because how bad that misstep down bottom was for LGD, even taking down the turret, they don't have the gold lead.
Maybe they can claw their way back in. It's certainly going to be a hard one. Though Score says, hello, that's going to be my scuttle. Unless Godby can stop that. Nope, not quite. Stun's coming through. Good damage. Score wants it anyway. They knock in TBQ. In comes Braum, and out goes LGD. That's going to be the kill. Wild Growth to secure it all. Godby's going to run. The knockup's going to hit him, but No one else wanted to chase there. Control for KT rolls.
The early game skirmishing here from KT, just coming out on top over and over again. Plus, the tower gold still standing here. If they can gain this much control just by continually killing LGD, they'll easily be able to take it back.
Look at the little trap here being set up from Someday, waiting for Godry to return to the lane and push it out, realizing though it's going to take a little bit too long and will just walk back to the top side, but he was looking for the opening and the easy dive on the Varus.
Plus, KT, every time they get a kill, look, they have multiple members going deep into LGD jungle. They have wards deep on both sides of the jungle. Every move from TBQ will be seen. Never mind, the ward around Raptors just times out, so they won't see him on the bottom side of the map. But because
Three of
it's
his more basic camps still have wards on.
they know, because they just killed him, sent him back to base, and they have wards on the other side. There's one place to be farming.
What we're going to see now, though, is that Varus can continue to just instant push the wave. The thing about Lulu, yeah, her wave play is fine, but when she little lands through the wave, she doesn't one-shot it. Nope. So, she needs a bit of extra time to really clear it. Godby has less cooldown for himself, especially once he gets the cooldown reduction boots, and then he can instant push the wave. That applies pressure on the side lanes because he can roam first. And that means they suddenly can keep pushing on the bottom side and slowly again take down this tower. They need it, and then they have to rotate to the top side and get the last outer turret.
Yeah, LGD gonna prep a play down on the bottom side. There are plenty of wards for Acorn to teleport in. He would really like to get that level 11 first.
And that is a good point. Because because Nagne is sitting with teleport, even if Varus can roam first, Nagne can always join in. So we almost have a situation where LGD needs to find a way to blow one of these teleports before they want to go for any of the aggressive plays. You can see Godry is constantly moving away from his lane. He pushes out and then he leaves because he knows Nagne and Someday can be in the bottom side in no time, and he has to be close by for 5 versus 5.
This is what it looks like when a Malphite wins lane, by the way.
Yeah.
He just slowly
16
wears
minutes.
you down. He takes the turret, first to level 11.
It might get more dangerous. Imp loses a lot of health here. Be careful. Stun's going to land onto a minion. TBQ cannot hit the right target. PYL going to be the first casualty. And a beautiful explosive cast means Elise will be next on the table.
And that's only one of the teleports. They can get a turret after this. They can even get Dragon after that.
Wow.
KT Arrows taking control.
LGG is falling apart completely. Too many mistakes in the early game. Too many poorly picked fights. Easy gank in the middle and Godby coming in.
This is going to be a high armor Malphite. He just now lost the passive shield. 3 turret shots in. Not even difficult. A teleport for Acorn.
Useless teleport, even going to cost him his life.
Useful for KT. They get his ulti. Now he's going to fight Arrow. It's going to be close. Arrow goes down. And finally, LGD get a kill, but
another another turret is going to go down after that. KT, as we said, they're easily going to be able to take down these outer turrets. Oh, too little life.
KT Rolster is manhandling this game.
And maybe not that easy.
3,500 gold lead, 8 kills to 1. It's worth pointing out the farm is still staying equal to maybe even a slight LGD advantage. Like, all of the gold lead is just these kills. And LGD still trying to push in for this dragon as well.
And it did, yeah, okay.
Again, knowing you have double teleport, KT can go for these plays.
Yeah, I mean, Imp just gets destroyed in the trade down bottom, so even if every member is accounted for, KT would still come out on top, so big move from them down bottom, as you know, but it's not even just the gold. Again, as we went over in Champ Select, KT looking really, really good just from the beginning stages. And now they're going to make another play on Imp. There's no turret this time.
Some backup though. TBQ is on the bottom side as well. He got his Elise first pick. That was the entire bait from KT saying, we know you want that for your jungler. Ends up giving that Giacomo composition, which would do well against the Mordekaiser. So just overall, a super smart pick and ban phase.
TBQ has so far collectively 0-9-1 in the World Championship so far. Wondered what it would be like for him, and so far it's been really pretty miserable for the man.
Honestly, I thought people were being a little too harsh on him at first, but goodbye.
Yeah. Suddenly everyone's in the mid lane. Even some days roaming around. Top lane is alone right now. It's been pushed in by Acorns, Hecarim, but KT are just taking everything down now. All three outer turrets are gone now. Imp gets found as well. Can't dodge much of this one. Does do a nice flash up the wall. That's about as long as he could have gotten it.
Right now, we're 19 minutes in. Sunday has 256 armor against a physical mid laner. Physical, of course, AD carry. I say, of course, and Mordekaiser could have been the AP1, but and also a physical top laner. This guy is unkillable.
Yeah. Even like the only magic damage they have is TBQ, and someday we'll crush him like the spider that he is.
Just pull the legs off one at a time. TBQ did at least go Rune Glaive, so you know he's got some extra ability power. Yeah, I'm trying to find
one shot that
Malphite.
I mean, glaring, yeah, definitely the glaring weakness for LGD here is TBQ, whether it's from the in-game play or trying to compensate for him in Champions.
Sure, that's a big deal here. Maybe they're feeling forced to first pick that and not go for the Lulu if they wanted it. But we saw Lulu from them yesterday not doing a whole lot either for LGD as a team. So, like this game, I agree, TPQ is a weakness. But to me, I'm looking at the entire team here.
Yeah.
Because the bottom lane fight zone was not really anything TPQ could change. Like that was the team taking a bait, basically, TPing in super aggressive, and then realizing, oh, we can double teleport and just get him punished for it. Give up more early kills.
Yeah, very true.
We just have to look at the entire lineup. And so far, they're not showing up.
Now, LGD right now are the biggest disappointment of the tournament. They have
the inverse stake.
Yeah. LGD is vegetarian. Team all herbivores, and not all as well here for this team.
Well, KT, they've got a very clear path here to close this out. Watch as their ward line continues to encroach on LG territory here. They're working it in. LG are doing their best to try and defend it, but it's just so difficult.
Yeah.
Someday, he just won't stop. No, continuing to wear Acorn down. There's not much Acorn can do except focus on the minion wave.
All three lanes just getting pushed in, and it's just a matter of time before KT puts the focus on Baron.
Exactly.
Plays a few pink wards around and says to LGD, either you come face shakers into a fight you're never going to win, or you just let us take the Baron, and then pushing 1-3-1 becomes so much more effective.
Woo! A couple of flashes traded, but otherwise all is well. It's just the normal KT style. This looks somewhat similar to how they won up against TSM just a few days ago. It's methodical and smart, and one at a time they knock down objectives. And
Итак, всем
when
привет,
KT
кто
wins games, there are not many
присоединился к
kills.
трансляции.
You can see here
Я
0.5 kills per
наконец-то
minute underneath that
освободился.
actually. Definitely
И
low.
теперь давайте посмотрим, что же здесь произошло за все это время. Так,
We want to see with LGD.
ну, KT All-Star
The team
играют
communication of like, because
типично,
there's so many small moves in the early game
защищаем как
between all
мало.
the teams, and every single early game we see
Судя
that
по счету, у
small
них это очень даже
miscommunication can make or break almost your entire early game. If a member is positioned wrong, if he teleport in on the wrong time, or maybe the team were calling for Akon to not join in, and he did anyway. We don't know what's going on with the team. We know, of course, there has been some problems in the past because they have Koreans, they have Chinese players. And it's something we see more and more from these Chinese teams now, that they have these mixed rosters. It looks like there are some miscommunication happening in the early game.
Так, и досталось, в принципе, всем. Единственный килл
I mentioned
есть
par for the course. They're throughout the season in wins, KT
Грикарима,
roster,
и то он его,
there's
судя по всему,
0.59 kills per
через
minute.
Ignite получил.
We're even below that here. KT playing such a controlled style. Of all the teams we can measure, they were
Да,
the
рунная
bloody,
Грифа и Лиза
least bloody of the teams here at
двумя
Worlds.
смертями, но
KT
это
is
как-то
what they
не
do.
очень
Yeah,
good.
they control the map.
Someday is like, there's no way you're taking this guy down. He's got nothing to worry about. There's not a last whisper in sight.
Необходимы.
Well, there is one in sight. I see one right now. Godby's got one.
И сейчас должен быть
Oh,
килл.
the long
Да.
range knockup.
Yeah.
He implodes.
Godby will have his last whisper, but again, he's never going to sit and auto attack the Malphite. He can maybe land a Q or two, and that's about it. Someday, just as an update, is currently sitting on 338 armor now.
То есть Севир
And
тоже
I don't think he's
показала
going to stop here.
свой
What
скилл,
about Thornmail?
успела, считайте,
Yeah,
просто из ниоткуда прилетел лед от Браума, и она успела среагировать щитом, однако ульта Браума
Funnily enough, I always debate the last item. Uh-oh, here we go.
грамотно, и сейчас
Godby
будет
knocked
килл.
against the cliff. He's got nowhere to go. Good damage on a Nagne. I mean, they can get some hits across, but the problem is they die too fast because of the Malphite dives.
Так, и несмотря на 4 смерти, Варус,
And that's, you know,
смотрите, у
look
нас
at how
держится, в
deep this
принципе,
vision
на
is for
плаву
KT.
за счет
You step out
фарма.
of line, even the LG side of the jungle is not their own. There comes the answer of a defensive teleport.
Yeah, TBQ lands a flash stun and says, you know what, let's go for this one. In comes Acorn, and they're like, wait, why do we even do this? Has to ulti away. Someday still chilled in the front lines. And wow, everyone's airborne like they love vitamin C. And down goes the turret, down goes the champions. KT going for the win on this one.
And someday you can tell, no fear in his heart. As soon as he gets in there, immediately stop the Hecarim and then move forward. They're not afraid at all, even before he tries to use a Hecarim ult to escape. Sunday's already attacking the back line. This is going to be an inhibitor turret. They're inside the base.
Pickaboo's really low. Godby's trying to look. Oh no!
Oh, I shit the wrong way!
He tried to run! Let go of Q too late.
Как-то
Not
игра
like it
вообще
matters
не
too
идет
much
на
here.
этом
Inhibitors gonna be
чемпионате.
taken out
Вы
easily.
считали их.
Oh my gosh, has to flash away, still goes down.
Еще один килл.
This is catastrophic now for LGD.
What a round
уже
here from
подошли.
KT.
And we keep seeing these conversations with
выжил
double
только за счет
teleport.
этого.
Once to get that lead, the map control is just insane. Whenever
Это
LGD is
очень
trying to make a
странный
flashy play,
клуб
just come
показывает
back.
LGD.
Double TP happens.
Если у
Everyone is
них
there
ничего
for KT, and it's
не
just so easy
изменится
for
в
them to turn
игре,
around.
то
Double frozen cars.
выходить из группы будут
You have
KT
everything you
Roster
need on the side of
и
KT.
Origin.
0-5-0.
Причем если я на Origin вставил, что они выйдут из группы.
We see there, double TP happens, so like TPQ has to go for something. They need to try and catch out a target if they want to get back in the game.
Look at Someday. Okay, I stopped you. Eyes are for the prize. He's looking for kills now.
I got 350 armor right now. Imbis basically healing me every time he hits me, and massive knockup. Rest of the team can just follow up, clean up. It's also fantastic being an AD carry, and this team is looking at your front line, doing all the work. You just have to be like lasting a little bit, right click, and get a few more kills.
And just by the way, we looked at LGD's Kog'Maw game from earlier. It's okay to play a bunch of offensive champions with a Kog'Maw because you create so much havoc. You
по
can hit
проверенной
whatever you want. You don't have to worry about
схеме,
being
ничего не
this
привнося
is like what LGD
нового.
wanted in their game yesterday.
Yeah, big difference was that what
И
Origin did
эта
against
схема
LGD was they
и
stacked a lot of
стандартная
late game damage
стратегия
and mixed
очень
them
даже
well. We had a
работает.
Kalista, and then we had, of course, a lot of magic damage
Сейчас
from
бам.
both Vladimir and Orianna. So there were so many threats to kill this single target main damage dealer. In this case, it's Arrow on the side of KT.
Ну и ждем,
LGD did
когда
almost the
Гикарим,
opposite. They're like, okay, so we
конечно,
know you
соберет
have
себе
power jump on
наконец 100
composition. We're gonna try and run some progress, see
Тринити
if we
Форс,
can maybe
тогда
get
он
some
сможет
towers
уже
early
хотя
game
бы
and get the game rolling.
наносить
But also
ощутимый
the
урон.
Hecarim pick coming in
Однако
just meant that it was so easy
3
for
кора
KT to
кок,
stack a bunch of armor
а Гикарим до сих
against
пор
it and say
без
there's no
армора.
threat now against our
Ну,
front line or our back line.
как Кок его просто разбирать будет несколько секунд. Ну и на данный момент, конечно, Кузьма будет разбирать всех абсолютно. И сейчас выбивает флэш. И да, какие-то в очередной раз странное перемещение от команды LGD.
The health bar is getting so low, the shutdown actually happens. Whoa! An overcommit from KT, and it does mean the 2 kills come back through.
Какие-то очень странные перемещения от LGD, то есть они оказались не сгруппированы. За что и поплатились. То есть в проигранной игре, которую они отдали Ориджинам, у них точно так же не было фокуса. И куча потом фейс-чеков. Ну и то же самое, в принципе, мы видим сейчас здесь. Просто на пустом месте создают себе проблемы. Ну и насколько хорошо сыграл Нагни, ну, то есть задоджил все, что только можно, почти уничтожил Трэша. Ну и там уже команда добила.
there's so many small mind games you make me like, oh, so here's this elite pick you really want, but there's also these two top tier picks. So if you pick one of them, you're gonna have something ready for it. So we
около
start to see teams
11
now
тысяч,
not be afraid of leaving the top
и
tier picks
очень
open,
сложно
like on
будет
day one
команде
where it was always
LGD
like elite's first pick and then
каким-то
you had the
образом
disadvantage
бэкнуться
there.
That's fair enough. It does not account for
до
the
тех
later
пор, пока
stages
они
of
не
the
соберут
phase.
That is very
нормальные,
true. Definitely been some mistakes as well.
меняемые арморные
Don't attribute
Элизу и Гикарима.
to side selection. No, but Baron gonna go down pretty easily though. LGD
Ну
have
и
two
я
very bad
думаю,
champion selects in a row now, so
Фри на
that is
шор.
something that definitely needs to be shored up. Acorn, I know, is one of the voices in that one. In fact, for a time, he was the actual
Да,
coach of
так
the
и
team,
получается.
and literally just like led all
У
those
LGD
phases. But
вообще
right now, he's
никакой
not having a
возможности.
positive impact with this.
Obviously lost that coach, but he was only the coach for like 2 weeks. For LGD, like in playoffs, and he even went out and said he was the analyst who was doing most of the work anyhow, so they didn't really care about losing the coach too much coming into the World Championship. He's obviously now the analyst, or former analyst, is now the head coach of the team.
Ну и это,
Seen
можно
some progress
сказать,
though
уже
for them
финиш.
when it comes to draft and composition, yeah.
They got, with all the changes, I mean, the thing is, they actually played games.
Потому
but they
что
didn't play 5-16.
KT
So they
сейчас
played
уже
regional, and
давят
they
как
go
только можно.
into the base. One, or the second inhibitor, the
А
top
если
inhibitor.
они еще и ингибиторы сейчас снесут, а они снесут их. Так, и ну, если я правильно понял, то у LGD сейчас какие-то проблемы с их тренером, который уже 2 недели, судя по всему, отсутствует. Поэтому они не могут никак скооперироваться, не могут работать как одно целое. И платятся за это раз за разом. Поэтому тренер играет очень важную роль в становлении команды и ее развитии. Шансов у LGD выбраться из групп становится очень-очень мало. Давайте посмотрим. Так, LGD. У них 2 локейти ростер. Так, сегодня... сейчас будет играть Origin. Посмотрим, от этой игры очень много, кстати, зависит. Если Origin тоже берут вторую победу, то противостояние уже будет в дальнейшем разворачиваться между KT ростер и Origin. И останется второй круг. То есть у каждой команды сейчас остается... Ну, останется по 4 игры. Да, по 4 игры. То есть LGD у нас еще не сталкивались с Соломидом. Так, и 4 игры. Ну, допустим, если LGD выигрывают 4 игры у Origin, ну, то есть они как минимум одну игру проигрывают, LGD, если, то в случае победы сейчас над Team Соломидом, у них будет 5 побед, и они выходят. То же самое касаемо KT ростер. Хотя, ну, это уже на грани фантастики становится. Выход из группы для LGD. Интересно узнать, вообще кто-нибудь в прогнозах угадал такое положение вещей, потому что предсказать это было очень сложно. То есть все однозначно называли LGD лидерами группы, что они выйдут с первого места, ну там за исключением североамериканских комментаторов, которые пытались ставить TSM на первое место, но как бы это маленько не смешно. Особенно если учесть, какую игру показывает Team Solomid в последнее время. То есть такое ощущение, что корейские буткемпы для TSM вообще ничего не дали. Они как проигрывали в 0 игры со времен финала Североамериканской лиги, когда они 3-0 уступили просто в сухую контрлоджикам, которые разделали их, то Сейчас мы не видим, что что-то изменилось в их действиях, поэтому такими темпами вряд ли слонит вообще выиграет хоть одну игру в этой группе. Но не будем зарекаться, как показывает практика этого чемпионата. Очень многие команды могут выстрелить. Так, давайте обновим, чтобы посмотреть актуальную информацию.
But they are all the same type of damage, and it's against a Malphite that gets
Так,
picked
ну
up.
и
I feel like this was a great draft from
относительно
KT
остальных
and a
групп.
very, very bad draft from LGD.
Look, they didn't do themselves
Ждем,
any
конечно,
favor with the
с
draft. Like, I'm not
нетерпением
going to defend
игры
it anyway. But
Cloud9,
if you give up Juggernaut, you
потому
need to
что
play fast push.
это команда, которая наконец-то смогла удивить своим пиком Вейгара. Надеюсь, они продолжат в том же темпе брать каких-то нетипичных персонажей для профессиональной арены, чтобы вернуть интерес зрителям, подогреть его не только громкими именами, но и интересными пиками. Кстати, сегодня мы увидели в матче H2K против Бангкок Титанс, если кто пропустил. Это первый раз, когда не забанили Мордекайзера, и H2K его сразу же взяли, ну и отлично использовали в этой игре. В итоге заслуженную победу одержали. Никто, в принципе, и не сомневался, что они победят Бангкок Титанс, потому что те, ну, вообще, назовем их, скажем так, любители, ну, относительно остальных профессиональных команд, потому что все-таки они прошли очень большой путь, Титаны, чтобы попасть на этот чемпионат мира, выиграв International Wildcard, поэтому считать их полностью любителями как бы немного лукавить, но относительно остальных команд этого турнира, да, они выглядят полными любителями. Даже Pen Gaming показывает более интересную игру. И, кстати, Pen Gaming в матче с Cloud Tigers в начале игры, можно сказать, что доминировали, потом у них как-то разладилась игра, когда Тигры решили взяться за ум. И тут великолепная просто игра пикабу. Смотрите, он все, что летело в Кагмава, своим щитом заблокировал.
They didn't know where Score was. Score was sitting there, waiting for them to come in. They baited it absolutely beautifully. That was entirely set up by KT. That's why Arrow didn't move there, because there was already the preparation. Everybody just piles in. You know LGD, in 2 games now, they've tried to make an aggressive teleport in the bottom lane, and it hasn't worked versus Origin. It hasn't worked versus KT. And maybe this is again a mixed language issue because it doesn't look like they're communicating.
Да, Монте-Кристо обращает внимание на то, что уже вторую игру подряд LGD не работает как должен телепорт на бот. То есть всегда, когда обычно приходит топер, к тому времени он оказывается единственным игроком своей команды в гуще соперников и его уничтожает. Ну и, видимо, это одна из проблем команды, которая в текущий момент таких и систематичных проблем присутствует у LGD, и стоит им на это обратить внимание.
And they were like, okay, we're both half HP, gentleman's agreement, we're both backing. But one of them has TP, so it's guaranteed 4v5 bot lane and the best possible scenario. So they're even prepping that from champion select with the double TP that they want to do this strategy. And KT is just very present here at this tournament, while LGD is kind of floundering.
Yeah, and KT has really surprised me because I didn't expect them to come in with this amount of poise, right? They're not taking risks. They're playing mind games in Champ Select. They're playing mind games on the Rift to set up these plays. And against TSM, against LGD, they've done the same thing. They wait very, very patiently, play conservatively, bait out a mistake, and then smash you. And once they get that early lead, they're great at snowballing it.
Yeah, absolutely impressive play from KT
отмечают,
stepping up here.
что
LGD now dropping two. This
KT
does beg
Roster
the
играют
question,
очень
you know, what does this mean
сейфово
for the
на начальных этапах
right?
и
And
ждут
LGD's
ошибок
future in this
соперников. И
group,
как
'cause it
только
kind of blows it
соперники
wide open all of a sudden.
совершают
We, a lot of
ошибку,
us
они
came in
просто
here
размазывают,
assuming
и
LGD was going to be
потом
one of the
начинается
favorites in the group,
сноубол.
maybe along with
То есть
KT.
очень
And that loss for
грамотная
LGD presents an
игра
exciting
в
opportunity for the two
исполнении KT
Western
Roster.
teams in Group D. Now, earlier we asked you who is your dark horse in the group stage, and it's T-Dog, right? It's definitely Origin after pulling out that victory against LGD. Can see them making a run to get out of the group. Well, they're about to go up against TSM. So what do you guys think? Is this their opening here, or will TSM get their first win and make things even more interesting?
I'm going to have to start this off and go with Orihen here. I love that pronunciation of it. Orihen is the ones. They impressed me yesterday, but it was against LGD, and we still don't know the gauge on LGD right now. They seem to be floundering in this tournament. So that is kind of like a benchmark, not a very good one. So right now, I'm just going with Origin, because I feel like TSM, they have not been present in this tournament
Origin
as well.
против TSM.
Well, I have to go with Origin, with Xpeke's performance, with him really stepping up in that first game. It looks like perhaps the mismatch in the mid lane may not be there if Xpeke is going to play at this level. So, but everywhere else on the map, absolutely everywhere, there are problems. I mean, we look at Santorin, regular season, 9.05 KDA, but only 178.1 damage per minute. That put him 12th.
Last. Dead last.
Remember, there were 10 junglers. 12th in damage per minute.
How is that possible?
He got beat by some.
Ну и обращает
And
английское
against
внимание
KT,
на
he didn't
Санторина,
even have the
который
KDA. He had a 0.67 KDA and
занимает
130.4
очень
DPM.
низкое место,
Amazing.
по-моему, в
He's got a
самой
red
нижней
cap.
части
Like,
таблицы
this
среди
is,
лесников
Santorin needs
лиги.
to do something. Anything. Damage, whatever. And I think that's a big mismatch. So
I completely agree. The Cacao game is like how Santorin sets up to play League of Legends, unfortunately, at the moment. I think Origin across the board are actually a really strong team. I actually really enjoy watching these guys play League of Legends, but they have to draft to their strengths, which is pick some form of initiation on Amazing, because they don't normally give it to Soaz. He likes to play more of a damage threat. So if they have an initiation on their jungle and support, I think that this team can go very far.
Well, there you have it. We've got that match coming up in
Ну и,
just a few
естественно,
minutes, so keep it right here.
все
The 2015 World Championship
аналитики
continues
ставят
after this.
на Origin, ну, потому что
LGD so
очень
far been the victim of one
классно
upset.
себя
It might be
показывают
a second
Origin.
one here.
Если
And
кто
now
не в курсе,
In comes Brawl, and
Origin состоят из бывшей команды,
Custom is high, useful for KT.
из
They get
бывших
his ulti,
участников
now he's gonna fight Arrow.
команды
It's
Fnatic.
gonna be close. Arrow! Pass to ulti away. Someday
То есть
still
там
down to the front lines. And
после третьего сезона ушел из команды. А нет, после четвертого сезона. Я вру. После четвертого сезона Xpeke ушел из команды, решив создать свою. Соос ушел из команды, ну просто развалилась команда. Ушел Цианид, вот тоже в никуда. И вот Xpeke собрал свою команду. Они прошли через все челленджер-турниры, и как топовые команды челленджер-серии они вышли на чемпионат. В итоге выиграли челленджер-серию, закончив на первом месте, и попали в LCS. За первый же сплит они закончили на втором месте, сразившись в финале против Фнатиков. Причем Фнатики вообще регулярный чемпионат закончили 14-0, то есть не проиграли вообще ни одной битвы. И в финале Origin взяли 2 игры и вполне себе могли выиграть финальную серию, однако одна небольшая ошибка Xpeke как раз таки, ну или скажем так, великолепная игра Yellowstar, когда он зацепил станом на Анечке Азира Xpeke, это и все решило дальнейшую судьбу финальной серии. Поэтому Origin, смотрите, то есть за 1 год они прошли челленджер-серию, они закончили на втором месте LCS европейский, они прошли отборочные на чемпионат мира и показывают вообще великолепную игру. Они уничтожили первую команду китайской лиги, то есть LGD являются чемпионами LPL. Это китайская лига по League of Legends.
Ну, не скажу, что они, конечно, уничтожили. Была на большую часть времени равная игра. Но потом все-таки Origin смогли засноуболиться. Особенно, когда Xpeki сделал квадрокилл на своей Ариане. И сегодня показывали очень классно перед вообще играми, когда шла аналитика прошедшего дня, то там очень классная диаграмма была по урону, который наносил каждый из чемпионов. И вот там урон от Арианы очень наглядно виден относительно своей команды и команды соперников. Там столбик просто взлетает после того, как Ариана ультанула. Ну, кстати, он зацепил 4 своей ультой. И это будет одним из хайлайтов этого чемпионата. То есть попадаться будет постоянно в нарезках. Итак, сейчас начнется подготовка к матчу. Скорее всего, мы послушаем какое-нибудь интервью.
I really want to play Origin because they have Amazing, which is a former teammate of mine, and I know a lot of the players from Origin back from Europe, and it's kind of like a grudge match because I came over from NA. I haven't really talked to them as much, but I know them and they know me at a very personal level, and it's a team I really want to beat.
И Бьорксон говорит, что он очень хочет встретиться с командой Origin, ну и, естественно, победить их. Ну, по той игре, которую показывает его команда, он лично, очень и очень вряд ли.
They've got a chance to start off 0-2 here, which would be devastating. It's not how you want a tournament, and if they do, it's going to raise a lot of questions about can TSM perform at international events.
They would match the best Chinese team here.
Сейчас должны Солос
That was a shocking result.
трибуны скандировать.
As shocking. I mean, coming into Worlds, Origin versus TSM was kind of looking like it was going to be this classic rivalry game with EU fighting North America. And then the Korean and Chinese teams would actually be fighting for the real prize, first and second in the groups. But after yesterday, and after the game we just saw, the complexion of this group and this game is just vastly different. Origin could actually be the titans of this group, whereas TSM looked weak and may struggle to pick up a single game in this group. They look dazed and confused against KT and lack any sort of cohesion, so they have a lot of growth to do.
Yeah, and I mean, cohesion was actually one of Origin's greatest strengths too. And Origin also, you know, they're able to take that veteran experience and show it under pressure against teams like LGD, like we said. People were expecting to come in and do very well, but now Origin today, they have to prove that yesterday was a fluke. A win over TSM would do exactly that.
И доказать, что он не самое слабое звено Origin, и он это доказал.
They outshined their counterparts in TSM in nearly every single position. The only question mark coming into the tournament was obviously Björksen versus Xpeke. Many people criticized
команда
him for his
TSM
split. He wasn't
очень
looking that
весело,
strong.
улыбается.
I am the weakest member in his team, and I think I can still stand by that statement. But he's definitely playing a lot better.
Как-то маленько Xpeke
That matchup for me is the marquee matchup
выглядит.
of TSM versus Origin.
Смотрите, насколько он волнуется. Ну и догадайтесь, за кого соединил болеет и багеты. Теперь уже багеты символизируют навсегда Соза. Это просто великолепный мем. Ну и посмотрим составы. То есть у TSM-ов, ну, у них в принципе игра не очень ладится. Дайрус оказывается как-то мимо меты вообще, и он некомфортно себя чувствует в текущих условиях и вообще не показывает игры, которую вот хочет команда. Ну и, естественно, самое слабое звено — это Санторин в лесу. Мне тоже не нравится, как он играет. Он как-то вечно опаздывает, вечно находится не там, в отличие от, допустим, Икс Мифи из команды контрлогиков. Вот, поэтому очень сложно что-то сделать, когда у тебя лесник опаздывает. Вот, ну и, в принципе, более-менее постоянно играющий на высоком уровне, это, естественно, Бьорксон, но керить команду в одиночку у него не получается, команда сопротивляется этому, да, и он уже не показывает той блистательной игры, после которой за него все болеть начали. Так, ну и банят, естественно, ганпланка, потому что слишком уж Солос хорош на ганпланке. Он и перевел ганпланка, кстати, на профессиональную арену. Первым сыграл на нем и показал, насколько страшен ганпланк. Так, банят Твистеда Бьорксона, чтобы он не смог оказывать давление на остальные лайны. И Азира. Ну, Азир один из стандартных пиков на мид теперь. Хотя на этом чемпионате его не так часто и берут, что довольно удивительно. То есть в регулярных чемпионатах Азир и Виктор — это прям такие must-have мидеры, которые почти в каждой игре противостоят друг другу. Однако сейчас их довольно редко берут. Так, ну и окончательный бан — это Лебланка. Бьорксон показал, что с его Лебланкой стоит считаться. Другое дело, что во время тимфайтов Лебланка, неудачно влетев, умирает просто мгновенно. Независимо от того, сколько у нее там было киллов до этого, насколько она расфижена, она умирает. Ну, что и продемонстрировали Тигры, если не ошибаюсь. Так, ну а TSM добавили, как я сказал, уже ганпланка, Мордекайзера. Ну, это такой пермабан на этот чемпионат мира. И решили забанить Фиору. Ну, Фиоры тонны чистого урона теперь, поэтому с ней приходится с ней считаться. Тем более у нее ульта сейчас еще и хилит. Поэтому ну, прям страшный герой до невозможности. Так, ну и берут Калисту для Нилса. Нилс великолепно знает, что делать с этим персонажем. Из минусов, скажем, небольшой рейндж. И поэтому Калиста требует очень хорошего дефа, потому что, ну, как бы, чуть-чуть лишний шаг, и Дариус ее уже подхватит своим топором, сразу же может прилететь кокон Терезы. Посмотрим, как Санторин сыграет на Терезе, кстати, потому что это очень сильный игрок, точнее, персонаж. Именно сейчас речь идет об Элизе, а не Санторине. Очень сильный персонаж, особенно в начальной стадии игры. Очень 2 скилла на процентный урон. Один от максимального хп, другой от недостающего запаса здоровья. Контроль с кокона, ну и паучки, не забываем. Ну и 60, сколько там, 40%, по-моему, на первом левеле. Увеличение скорости атаки. Так, ну и у нас будет Лулу. Лулу может быть как для Экспика, так и для Солоса. Солос, ну, великолепный Лулу-плеер. И, кстати, он привел Лулу точно так же на профессиональную арену. И вообще АПшных персонажей на топ. Играя еще за Фнатиков, сначала у него очень это не получалось, вообще чудовищно они проигрывали, однако потом он все-таки нашел, каким образом использовать Лулу, и это стало одним из его знаковых персонажей. Ну и он говорил, что во время корейского буткемпа он хочет освоить дополнительно каких-нибудь персонажей на топ необычных, не только Ганпланка и Лулу, на которых он хорош. Ну и посмотрим сейчас, кто и куда пойдет. Так, Тим Соломин берут Алистера и Тристану. Тристана из лучших эдикерей на данный момент, особенно если дело касается сноса вышек, то есть фастпуш. Так, ну и Тристане удобнее будет снимать волны крипов, в отличие от Калисты. Ну, Калиста потом соберет Рунан, когда и будет тоже довольно быстрым занятием для нее. Но сначала ей будет посложнее. И неужели мы увидим Анивию? То есть Лулу для Солоза будет у нас. И Икспеки на Анивии. Как же они умеют удивлять. У Origin тоже в кармане Липосины оказались. Липосины такие козыри. Так, и Тим Соломин сейчас думает, кого же взять Бьорксону. В принципе, Вейгар это будет великолепным пиком, потому что, ну, АПшных персонажей он будет просто одной кнопкой уничтожать в лейте, если им дадут выйти в лейт. Ну и плюс за счет клетки он может дефать Тристану. Ну и без этого, конечно, у них куча и куча защиты для своих керри. То есть Алистер на страже, Дайрос и Санторин. Однако нет, они не рискнули TSM брать Вейгара, потому что он у них не наигран, в отличие от Cloud9.
It may be just too tunnel vision to deny that top laner because Anivia is still in that matchup in mid lane. It's going to be very picky.
Blind picks Anivia. I don't know, Expeke does apparently, Origin does, and they won it against LGD. They weren't using Anivia, they were using Orianna, a little bit more common, but this game is going to be amazing, man.
Yeah, I've been talking to Froggen a lot about multiple builds.
Интересно, потому что Анивия сможет вливать кучу урона, то есть чуть подзаморозил соперника, и осколок льда у нее начинает снимать больше половины хп с клиша. Поэтому посмотрим, как они смогут этим воспользоваться. Ну и, естественно, яйцо Анивии, неумирающая Анивия, еще и с клинсом. Поэтому так легко влететь в Анивию не получится. Ну и защита для Калисты в лице Лулу и Брауна. Браун. И, в общем, будет очень интересно. Если во вчерашнем матче я сомневался, как Origin смогут использовать, допустим, Виктора в их пике, как он будет работать, то сегодня у меня уже таких вопросов не возникает. То есть я уверен, что у Origin что-то заготовлено, и они знают, как использовать свой нестандартный пик, и как он будет работать. Ну а TSM очень стандартный, находящийся в мике, пик организовали. Будет интересно, конечно, за этим понаблюдать, потому что бёрстового урона в Икспеке будет меньше, чем у Бьорксона на Викторе. Но и будет у него возможность станет.
Incredibly interested to see what Expect is going to build here. The old Anivia build relied very heavy on tier because you just need that much mana.
Судя по всему, решают
Anivia King obviously has been playing a more lot of ages into magic
установить
penetration
варды,
build.
чтобы знать о свапе лайнов.
Not 5-man invade, a lot of invades so far in this tournament.
Yeah, we saw a pluritude of level 1 kills yesterday.
Yeah,
but
man,
it's calmed down a little bit today.
I didn't get to cast any of those games. Oh well.
Да, то есть стандартная расстановка европейская вардов, чтобы знать о свапе лайнов. Ну, то же самое, в принципе, делает и TSM, потому что зачем изобретать велосипед.
backside wards to track specifically what TSM would have
Ну
done
и,
on the
скорее
other
всего,
side. So
будет
TSM actually had a lot of different options, but they chose to
размен
mirror. Now they are the
красными
only ones who
бафами
know that this was a true
команд.
mirror. Origin still has to slightly guess.
Dividing the map in half here, Stan Laneswap coming out. I do like what Rek'Sai brings to the
Ну и
table as a jungler,
наконец-то
what we saw earlier in the way SKT played.
Дайрус на
Just very high
Дайрусе,
tempo,
даже если
easy to
буду
get back into the
путаться
game, never really have any downtime.
в
Continuously adding
словах
pressure. I will need that,
и
especially
заговариваться,
from
это все равно
offensive
будет
mid pick
правильно,
expecting here on the Nivea.
потому что Дайрус правильно, что Дайрус правильно. Не то, что в недавнем матче, где Дайрус играл против Дайруса. Вот там вот сложнее было следить. И смотрите. И Бьорксон вынужден использовать
So a really interesting choice there by Bjergsen to
Clean?
blow his heal so early because
А,
he was
нет,
expecting the
у
Ignite
него
to come
хил
in.
был.
Actually, by the time Bjergsen
Да,
blew his
то
heal,
есть
it was a
он
wasted Ignite
мгновенно
by
использовал
on
хил, и
Nivea. It could
благодаря
have been a
этому
very easy
выжил, ну
one
и,
summer
конечно,
spell for no
далековато
summer
были.
spell game.
It is a waste, but when is
Если
mid, they
бы в
really gonna use
X-Peke
his Ignite again in this
был
space. So remember,
осколок,
the map is
да,
gonna get divided. If they
он
dive
бы
there
смог
is
нанести
maybe, but
намного
what
большего урона
player
и
really wants
вполне
to go defend
возможно
the tower? Why
убить.
would Dyrus actually go to the top lane here?
You asked the same question, but it
Нифина
happened
уже
yesterday.
потратил
Like, there's absolutely a
Ignite, с
possibility you
другой
need to be
стороны,
able to
на
threaten the
первых
dive against the top laner in the lane swap scenario.
минутах он ему особо и не нужен будет, тем более лайн будет 2 в 1, особых таких разменов, которые требовали бы присутствия Игнайта, не будет, ну, по крайней мере не предвидится, потому что сложно зарекаться, как оно будет и какие планы у соперников. Так, и Санторин нет, у нас не будет заходить. И сейчас будет
But obviously they're roaming for
push
up here. Whether or not the Ignite is there, because
топ-лейна.
there's no support or jungler help for Dyrus, he has
И
to completely
4
fall away, and the turrets will both end up falling.
в одного, и Экспеке сейчас в проблемах, и ему приходится отфлешиваться через стену, и теперь саммонер на саммонер. И теперь ближайшие 5 минут Экспеке находится под серьезной такой угрозой. А White Turtle к этому времени уже снес вышку на боте. Небольшое преимущество по золоту на стороне TSM.
You can teleport before you die. Oh, actually. I see. And then it will continue channeling as you become an egg, and it can get you to safety.
Forgive me for my lack of intricate Anivia knowledge.
Dyrus right now in the bot lane, and the wave is pushing towards him, so he'll safely get that farm. We see Origin already coming more members to that.
Если Анивия начнет телепорт и умрет, то яйцо в конечном итоге телепортируется в конечную точку. Либо они какие-то старые баги вспоминают. Так, и смотрите, какая великолепная стенка. И заблокировал Экспеке двоих. Смотрим, Экспеке просто тратит телепорт, как он использовал его в прошлый раз, в прошлой игре. И смотрите, как он увел крипов в сторону, чтобы вышка не уничтожила.
Loaded in with it could have actually been the death of Pekka.
И Нилс чуть-чуть впереди.
Smart.
Great job, Prophet.
I don't think it takes much of a prophet to think that a flashless Anivia is getting a gank in the lane. He does it either way. And so, we'll see if he can continue to stay alive. I mean, he was fairly low health too when that gank came in. So if he didn't have that, he would
Санторин промазал поконом.
Santorin just taking that Rift Scuttler up towards the top of the map. And so far, even game. TSM with a little bit of a gold lead because of that turret.
And we see it down in the bottom lane as well. Juggernauts just generally don't do well into Blue.
То есть смотрите,
Blue also enhances it. That's why she's been
телепорт для Экспеки это очень удобная штука. Во-первых, Виктору все-таки попроще запинывать XP под вышку, особенно
If he's
после того,
slightly
как он
behind, that's still okay in these team fights. If
один-два раза,
can get that to happen,
ну,
however,
даже
it's
с
gonna be very
первого
hard to get to
апгрейда
his
своего
targets if he gets kited by that Anivia.
посоха, он начнет очень быстро уничтожать волны крипов, и они будут чуть посложнее. Сейчас он в зоне. И теперь у Xpeke, кстати, будет возможность благодаря телепорту постоянно стакать свою слезу. То есть я думаю, что он пойдет в посох веков, чтобы как можно дольше держать свою ульту. Так, и флэш из Бьорксона. Теперь уже Бьорксон в ближайшее время будет под угрозой ганков. У него, конечно, откатился уже хил, но у Xpeke уже, кстати, почти вернулся.
You never know how the lane swap is going to play out, but especially in a game with Bjergsen, you do expect more attention to the mid lane.
Ну и Xpeke чуть в безопасности, конечно, себя чувствует, потому что у Бьорксона теперь нету флеша, поэтому он не сможет сделать флеш-комбо вместе с ультой, своим смертельным лучом. Ну и, естественно, пушкой.
Item gold on non-combat stats, really, on non-valuable all-in stats.
I really haven't been paying attention to the bottom lane, but I'm noticing now that the CS is actually
Поэтому
+6.
спокойненько сейчас снимет волну и, скорее всего, пойдет на базу. И не пойдет, потому что синий баф уже поднялся, и очень скоро Xpeke его получит после того, как поднимется. То есть, смотрите, он уже не жалеет маны, чтобы запушить лайн. И смотрите, как быстро Бьорксон снимает волну. То есть, вот о чем я говорил, что Ниве придется чуть тяжелее.
Then he can contest these objectives incredibly easily.
TSM is actually sending Santorin as insurance. They're going to try and bounce this into the turret and maybe prevent
Ну и плюс у нас Виктор усиливает свою мощь, а Ниве пока не может себе такого позволить.
Yeah, they're taking care of Dyrus this time, and to be fair, you know, Dyrus didn't die in that early dive opportunity that we saw Origin have. He backed off right away. I think he learned from his mistakes yesterday, and things are going much better for TSM overall.
Origin, their composition is very mid-game focused. Like, Lulu requires some items, at least you need teens to really get into play. Nivea needs a couple items here. This is an early game carry, but due to the lane stop, she doesn't really get threatened by Tristana as much. BF Tristana can punish the Kalista. It's incredibly hard to punish the Kalista with just a pickaxe. So overall, Origin, I think they're very fine with this.
Не было смайта у Мейзинга, повезло, и вот сейчас откатился смайт.
But instead, TSM completely sends now 4 to 5 people up to the top quadrant of the map. They're looking for a turret snowball.
I think it's smart because doing a dragon this early in the game just slows you down so much, and TSM have the opportunity to punish some weaknesses in Origin's composition.
И готовится дайв. Дайв на топ, однако Виксай тут уже караулит, однако они все-таки решают отдавать вышку, и теперь преимущество у TSM усилится. Да, ну и сейчас делается комплимент TSM, что они очень хорошо используют, однако ну, это временное преимущество, потому что как только Origin снесут свои башни, которые они должны снести, но преимущество перейдет к Origin, потому что у них лучше фарм. Так, успеет ли Солос снести к приходу вражеского ботлейна? Ну, наверное, все-таки нет. Смотрите уже, как много урона получает Соус. Нескольких птичек Тристана. Ну, Тристана уже закупила себе большой меч, у нее флэт урона намного больше. Ну, а Калиста пока отстает, кстати, по урону, просто за счет того, что у нее еще не собран Вотерк. Как только она соберет, тут уже будет вопрос, кто победит в дуэлях.
Push this advantage? Can they get some more wards into their enemy jungle? Not a lot there right now.
This is the part of the game where Lostboy needs to synergize well with Santorin, move around the map, establish deep vision, and then TSM can continue what they've been doing in the early stages of the game, which is rotating. But that's exactly where we've seen TSM falter in the past.
That's the struggle, right?
It's part of the game where Origin has been so strong during the regular season and especially yesterday. Mythy and
То есть
amazing.
X-Пеки, смотрите, собрал каталист, то есть он увеличивает свою ману, и они специально дают возможность TSM спокойно запушивать, потому что у них есть возможность, и смотрите, готовится ганг. Если сейчас последует вражеский бот, то нет, вражеский бот решает не продолжать давить и стоять в безопасности, где у них есть пинг-квад. И смотрите, готовится, то есть сейчас будет 3 на 3 тимфайт.
A lot of TSM players moving towards the bottom side of the map. Looks like they may want to try to catch Mythy and Niels, but amazing.
So wants to teleport. So does Dyrus. This could be a brawl.
It could be. Here we go. Lostboy coming in.
И пошли телепорты, однако уже пришел Виктор сюда. И сейчас будут киллы. X-Пеки не успел.
Going to Bjergsen, and that's huge. That's going to be you can't chase into Nivea, but good reaction here from TSM. They're the first team to move.
Вот она, расслабленность X-Пеки маленько аукнулась, потому что Бjergsen успел подойти, и произошел тимфайт уже 5 на 4. Они 3 на 3, как изначально задумывался. С другой стороны, Анивия чуть позже получит свою силу. Ну и преимущество сейчас TSM 1500 по голде на 13-й минуте. Самая большая проблема это то, что ФБ ушел Виктору, поэтому Виктор сейчас начнет усиливать давление на Нивию, который и так не скажу, что было удобно. Да, пока что-то пошло не так. Да, ну и как отмечают комментаторы, это самый медленный билд на Нивию. То есть у него АП у X-Пеки пока очень-очень мало. Посох только начал стакаться, он его вот недавно собрал. То есть у него там 1-2 стака из 10.
Means nothing to Origin as far as their ability to teamfight. Late game, the Darius is mostly useless against all the kiting tools that Origin has.
TSM's Baron Vision around the 20 to 25 minute mark, that's going to be fundamental for them to win this game because, yeah, Origin they can kite,
так, ну и задача Рижена сейчас фармить. Как только они снесут вышки, одну вышку они, кстати, уже снесли, то начнется более-менее паритет по золоту. И смотрите, уже и Соус подошел сюда, и Amazing. И сейчас будет Т1. И Т1 будет, потому что релизы ничего не сделают. Более тут рядышком Лулу.
Within the jungle, and he's just going to have to back away.
Well, that's one thing I've noticed. TSM hasn't really been
И смотрите, несмотря на то, что Лулу один раз умерла,
one in try in the bottom half of the map. Maybe Bjergsen's putting another one down now, but they really need to pay attention to that.
And that's again that jungle support synergy. Yeah. Very rarely do we see
Соус потратил слишком много крипов, поэтому аккуратненько убить их, однако неудачно.
Speaking of the vision game, Crap and I were talking about trinket usage and the different combinations of trinkets you can put on a team.
полностью залажено, в принципе. 3К между синим бафом Origin и красным TSM. Опекают свой топ-лейн, который там должен быть. Так, ну и сейчас Дариус зачистит пинг. Как мы видим статистику, как голосуют пользователи Твиттера, и они отдают 62% на победу команде Origin. Так, ну а Калиста у нас, смотрите, собрала свой ботер, и это уже сила, с которой приходится считаться, тем более с учетом того, что армора ни у кого нет. И спеки довольно рационально используют. Хоть у него и слеза, и рот, и синий баф, он очень экономно использует свои способности, потому что скоро будет дракон, и тогда ему мана понадобится. Да, ну и предполагается, что Origin не будут контестить, потому что они в роли отстающих, ну извините, отстающих, они всего на 500 золота, поэтому это большой вопрос. А Тристана, смотрите, как далеко, то есть это будет спокойный фри. Так, и сейчас оттащат. Так, ну и флэш от XP будет. И теперь вся команда отойдет, и я думаю, у них получится задефать вышку на миду.
I still think overall it's a really good call because Origin kills the dragon, he doesn't lose a single turret.
Yeah, free objective, well not free, but unopposed objective really, that dragon and not losing any turrets for it. And now, I mean, this game is pretty even up. Expeke starting to come into some power. TSM's got to be starting to sweat a bit.
That's what you start doing here, nitpicking in these very, very low kill games, because it's all about minor advantages, minor missteps from the opponent being punished, whether it's vision, you lose a jungle camp, you lose a blue buff, because obviously there's nobody going down, so positioning incredibly important here. And looking ahead, not only what you do now, but the next 1 minute,
на данный момент у нее лидер на хп лесной, потому что мы сегодня уже видели релизационные глифой, которая не работала и была просто форма, в принципе, для соперников. Смотрите, как Тристана уже начинает уничтожать волны. Мелс по пути сейчас заберет. Нет, ну, кстати, отдает это Эмейзингу.
I think Origin have done a fantastic job predicting where the potential invade could come from TSM. Then it's hard for TSM to get in there, but TSM should be able to move around quicker around the map and then find open somewhere. Once you get that first line of vision down, you can add some more vision to it later.
Another reason that TSM doesn't have very deep warding is because
вышка
the lanes of Origin
для
have been
Origin,
consistently pushing the wave.
и восстановился паритет по голде.
Was because the tempo was
Теперь
in their favor. The
полностью
bottom lane was
идентично.
pushed up, it pulled Wild Turtle to push, and because of all that, TSM can never invade to get deeper wards.
And we see Origin actually taking that mid turret. That's going to give them a tiny
Так,
gold
и
lead for the
сейчас
first time.
синий баф, судя по всему, уведут Origin. И это мелочь, но неприятно для Нивии. То есть еще более экономно ему придется расходовать ману. Так, и Тристана у нас начинает уже точить Т2 на топе. А Соус, посмотрите, он великолепно фармит, несмотря на то, что он один раз умер.
Conventional build on the Nivea.
Not yet, man. Well, mid turret maybe in a little bit of trouble. TSM looking to equalize here. Miffy, Expeke, they want to stop this one. And are we going to see a possible flank here coming in? Doesn't look like it. Kneels all the way up to the tier 2 bot lane. Nearly takes it out himself too.
Т2 на боте практически снес Нилс.
That is her strength, that wave clear. The way you beat a Nivea is split push and out rotate, because she's slow. Look, Expeke is sitting on maybe 7,000 gold earned total in this game, and he still has tier 1 boots because he just needs so many items that he's scaling up with tier, Run of Ages. He only found his first AP item after 5,000 gold earned.
Crapo, if you're going to pick a late scaling, late activating team composition, TSM is pretty much the best team you could pick it against. Longest average game time of North America, over
Least
41 minutes. Least bloody in North America. 0.6 kills per minute on average in TSM games. The average across the world was closer to 0.75, so really lower ratio of kills in TSM games. It's picture perfect for an Anivia to just farm out the mid lane and get to those incredibly expensive items that not only are they expensive, then take time to activate afterwards. And Pekka is actually getting there unscathed.
Yeah, I just want to see when Pekka actually upgrades his boots. I think he's going to do it next, but a lot of different players, and then we stop talking about the build. I just find it very interesting. Even go just grab those, if they stay on tier 1 boots. So if they go for group fights, it's fine, you know. Team fights, you can slow the effort down, bring them to your move speed. But when it comes to rotating around objectives, then you can really get punished for only having those tier 1 boots.
Well, there's not a lot of action in the game, so feel free to talk about Expeke's boots all you want, man.
Yeah, 1 kill, 22 minutes in.
I know.
But still an interesting game.
A single tear rolls down my cheek, guys.
It's quickly upgraded by Pekka into a...
Ну, а Виктор уже на 3 раза проапгрейдил свой посох, и это теперь очень мощный итем, который дает очень и очень много АП. Так, смотрим, Калиста собрала себе руна, теперь она может спокойно отпушивать волны. Так, флэш, прошел и... Нет, ластбой, фейлит, и это будет килл.
Kill for Origin as soon as the ultimate is gone. There we go. The Rend does the damage. Kneels with the kill.
And again, hesitation on the side of solo mid. They disengage with Wild Turtle's ultimate. Then they see the teleport is being channeled and Lost thinks he can re-engage with Flash. Turtle doesn't ulti. Lost can simply just go in with a combo.
Зафейлил комбо, то есть Алистер это такой коварный персонаж, и нет, сейчас, по идее, они должны передумать, потому что, ну, страшно и не так много у них хп. Да, передумали, ну и выбили из Бёрксона ульту. И сейчас будет дракон, почти наверняка для TSM-ов, потому что, ну, у Оригинов не позволяет здоровье особо контестить. Ну и, судя по всему, Оригины предлагает размен, башню на дракона. Так, и сейчас очень хороший ульт от ластбоя, его просто сразу же убивают, и сейчас Анивия превратится в... Нет, не умерла Анивия и берет килл. Вот, наконец-то превратилась в яйцо. Это убили у нас Лулу. Думал, Анивия. Лулу в снежном скине, видимо, как раз таки, чтобы все путали, что и как. И да, убивают Лулу, но как бы Лулу у нас больше игрок поддержки, поэтому смерть Лулу это не так страшно, тем более сейчас они получили столько киллов, 2 килла получили Оригин и 3-го дракона. Просто очень классный размер для Оригина. То есть в этот раз ластбой очень классно взлетел, но у него не было ульты, естественно, его просто в секунду уничтожили. Так, и Калиста отфлешивается, то есть успел Дариус притащить Калисту, однако никто не последовал, Калиста успела спокойненько отфлешиться и продолжить наносить урон.
Force them to change their path in that team fight with a really good wall there on Anivia. That's what you want to do, but you have to keep that in mind. It is so predictable.
We're seeing some tremendous value from
теперь
pocket picks here at the World Championship. We saw the Vagar earlier on from Cloud9's incarnation. It seemed like the team
теперь, по идее,
in
пассивка
Invictus maybe
у
wasn't ready to play against it. And here
Анивии
TSM,
должна
it's
быть
only adding to
недоступна,
their
однако
communication issues. They had
Баун
trouble
как-то
pathing
странно
around
показывается,
backballs.
и Мифи не там. Спасибо Калисте, и смотрите, как Калиста теперь надамаживает, сейчас должна, да. И сейчас нет, откидывают Эмейзинга, однако у него все равно есть возможность, он кого-нибудь подкинет, и ластбой, я думаю, в очередной раз просто уничтожит. И нет, Вайтёртл успел забрать, и Лулу забирает, и смотрите, просто великолепно. И Солос отомстил за свою смерть и решил Санторин отдать. И саппорт против саппорта, но щит Мифи блокирует урон, входящий по нему. И в битве саппортов победил Лесник. Ну, уже первый килл наконец-то ушел Вайтёртлу. Вот здесь вот Мифи уже было попрощался с жизнью. Однако не получилось. Смотрите, вроде бы откинули Эмейзинга, но понятно было, что он зайдет сбоку, и вопрос был в кого. Не дотянулся Эмейзинг до Тристаны, и вот в этот момент необходимо было Вайтёртлу, получив килл, просто упрыгивать дальше. Чего он не сделал, он решил дальше продолжать килл и попробовать кого-нибудь убить, но стан от Анивии прилетел и, соответственно, разорвало просто Тристану, потому что просто чудовищное количество урона сейчас начнет вливать X-пеки. Смотрите, у него вроде бы сначала не очень все хорошо начиналось, но теперь у него килл и 5 ассистов, и он превратился просто в страшную силу, причем он проапгрейдил тапки. Сначала он купил тапки на КД, как мы видим, ну и, естественно, теперь он сможет чаще флешится, что ему очень, в принципе, поможет, потому что вылетать из ульты Бьорксона, ну и при неудачном лете его команды возможно будет сбегать. И смотрите, спокойненько тележка тащит, а команда Origin продолжает дефать, и сейчас Нилс имеет возможность спокойно наносить урон. Хороший влет от ластбоя. Мифи выживает, и ничего не произошло, в принципе. Никого убить TSM не получилось. И сейчас они имеют возможность, благодаря нашему бафу, очень быстро уйти на базу. И благодаря этой сайде Origin смогли снести вышку у ингибитора, и я думаю, следующим заходом они смогут уничтожить и ингибитор. Сейчас они, видимо, собираются оказать давление на топ. И сейчас разница в голде уже достигла.
But the funny thing is, or the good thing for Origin, they lost their coach Ducky and their analyst replaced, and it does seem that their drafting has been very also slightly different to other teams, but really good
классно он пользуется своими скиллами. Смотрите, он не собирает пробивание, он просто против кого ему собирать пробивание, поэтому Калиста имеет возможность собрать кровопийцу, что даст ей просто чудовищный сустейн. Это 35% от хила с урона Поэтому она сможет пережить начальный бёрст, ну и полук от Виктора, и затем спокойненько нанести урон. А фронтлайнов как таковых у TSM до сих пор нету. Ну, одна накидка у Дайвиса, и как бы это ему ничего не даст, его разберут просто в момент. Особенно с уроном, который теперь может вливать X-пеки. Он, кстати, проапгрейдил у нас маску Далиандри, и теперь он будет наносить процентный урон.
Origin do something completely different, and it works because TSM's style allows them like to make it work.
Смотрите, Origin видит, что Дайрус как один из танков команды находится на топе, поэтому они имеют возможность пушить бот, а Лулу в это же время пушит топ. То есть, либо Дариус идет помогать своей команде дефать вышку на боте, либо пытается задефать от Лулу вышку. Однако, если он не идет на помощь на бот, то оставляет команду без танков, и Origin имеет возможность потихоньку точить. Так, ну и все, падает Т2 на топе. И преимущество у нас увеличивается до 80 лишних тысяч. Если быть точным, это 8,5 тысяч. Ну и потому что Origin сейчас получили все итемы, которые помогут им уничтожать своих соперников, а вот этого о соперниках не скажешь, потому что Лулу имеет возможность спокойно увеличивать свое АП, не заботясь ни о каком арморе, ни о каких резистах. И чем больше она собирает себе урона, тем она, соответственно, становится полезнее для команды. Дариус себе такого позволить не может, ему необходимы резисты. На данный момент уже есть Рабадон у Лулу, и все необходимые коры у Анивии. И смотрите, сколько станов приходит в ластбоя, и сейчас он умрет. А команда TSM просто решила отдать своего тиммейта на растерзание команде Origin. Так, и сейчас расщепляют Бьорксона, однако не угадал X-Pick, куда он пойдет. Ну и столько раз ластбой просто умирает, его, не знаю, команда отдает на растерзание. Конечно, он сам находится не там, но вот сейчас, в принципе, команда могла попробовать задефать, однако они решили, что лучше не рисковать и отдать просто сабборта, потому что это игры уже пока не делают. Ну и смотрите, то есть Пеги попытался застанить. Откуда его застанили в игре со фнатиками, кстати, как раз вот где он стоял, там стоял Yellow Star, и проходящего мимо Зира X-Пеки он застанил. Ну и благодаря этому фнатики очень быстро выиграли. Ну как бы не только из-за этого, но это было начало конца. Так, у нас жив на шор, и Ориджины ждут, когда подойдет Калиста, чтобы начать что-то делать. И смотрите, сколько урона наносит X-Пеки, то есть он практически разобрал ластбоя и снял половину хп Дариусу. И Бьорксон труп. И смотрите, как X-Пеки. И вот это вот зря Сантовин, конечно, сделал. И приходится ему отфлешиваться. Вот это он зря сделал. TSM И, похоже, это будет игра. Нет, они решили сначала все-таки снести на боте. Однако поднялся ингибитор. Сейчас по-быстрому снесут ингибитор. Последнюю вышку на боте. И да, они будут пробовать закончить, потому что дефтаймеры 10 секунд еще у Бьорксона. И да, это будет конец. Все. Origin доказали, что они не просто так попали на этот чемпионат мира, показали великолепную игру, делали то, что они хотят. То есть, смотрите, Xpeke сначала взял каплю, потом каталист, то есть у него почти 15 минут, ну, в районе 15 минут не было прироста АП вообще никакого. То есть он мог только фармить, пытаться фармить, а Виктор в это время наращивал свою мощь. Однако благодаря телепорту, опять, Xpeke, как и в игре против LGD, благодаря телепорту приковал Бьорксона к лайну, и Бьорксону приходилось постоянно находиться на лайне, чтобы его не запушили. Ну, один раз он вначале получилось у Бьорксона уйти с лайна, когда Xpeke опоздал. Но это, в принципе, был единственный случай, когда Бьорксон успел уйти с лайна. Все остальное время он находился на лайне, и это очень большая заслуга для Бьорксона, для Xpeke, держать на лайне Бьорксона. Ну, потому что Мифи плюс Нилс это намного сильнее. Ну и просто полная уверенность в Соузе, что Лулу сможет выставить против Дариуса. Ну и что делала Лулу? Она просто фармила. Несмотря на смерти Лулу, она аутфармила Дариуса. Как вы сможете заметить, если посмотрите повторы. Поэтому Лулу делала свое дело, спокойно фармила, кидала щит и ульту, на кого нужно, и замедляла. Все очень хорошо, выполнил свою работу на 100% и не обращали внимания на то, что Лулу умирает. Ну потому что это в принципе второй саппорт. Как бы не так жалко скормить саппорта. Великолепная игра в исполнении команды Origin. Понимали, что они хотят, понимали, как к этому прийти. Ну и TSM не смогли воспользоваться вот этой ранней слабостью Xpeke. То есть у него было всего несколько ганков, ну и с другой стороны, из Бьорксона тоже регулярно приходили и Мифи. Начиная с первого левела приходил на мид помочь Xpeke. То есть они выбили сразу же хил. То есть желание подуэлиться у Бьорксона уже было не так много, потому что у него никакого преимущества не оставалось. А у Аниви, как мы знаем, пассивка, которая помогает Аниви возродиться практически с полными хп в лучшем случае. Поэтому ганкать, в принципе, ее не так продуктивно было, но можно было. Поэтому скажем спасибо Мифи и Эмейзингу, что они захаживали периодически на мид и выбивали флэш из Бьорксона. Поэтому Бьорксон начинал опасаться за свою жизнь, не мог запушивать постоянно Xpeke, то есть он мог снимать волну, конечно, за там, один каст смертельного луча своего, однако и все, этим ограничивалось, то есть он не давил его под башней, не запинывал его там и не мог пушить, потому что у него не было флеша. А в Санторине он, видимо, не настолько уверен, чтобы ждать. Ну и чем занимался Санторин, немного непонятно, конечно, опять же в этой игре. Да, вначале он показал, в принципе, неплохую игру, оказавшись там, где надо во время тимфайта на боте, когда они оказались пятером против трех. Ну, как бы и все, по большому счету, больше ничего полезного Санторин не сделал. Ну, разумеется, кроме ганков на мид, но эти ганки больше удержать X-пике, чем убить его. Ну и сколько раз ластбой саппорт TSM оказывался не там, где надо, и просто его команда отдавала на растерзание. А у Мифи была возможность отойти безопасно благодаря ульте Калисты. Ну и давайте послушаем интервью.
They just left Lulu open, to be fair. You know, if you leave Lulu open, you basically put yourself on a timer, and we just thought we'll pick the better late game comp, and they don't make too many plays early to mid game. We're gonna win the game, and that's basically what happened, I guess.
And something that was the same from yesterday, first locking for Kalista. We know you love that champion. Niels, do you think other AD carries may be undervaluing her at the moment?
I mean, we're the only team that actually picks her in first rotation, so yeah, I would say that maybe they don't undervalue her, but we value her a lot more than them, maybe. I don't know who's right, but we like the champion. We make a lot of things happen with the champion. Mid can do a lot more because we have Kalista. So yeah, it works for us.
Definitely works for you guys. And then quickly on the Anivia, of course you eliminated a couple of options that Bjergsen couldn't pick. Still, it is quite risky to me in Game 2 of the World Championship. Was it with the full support of the team?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, but explain.
I mean, you mid laner, you know, practice against Foggen, so it's fine for us to pick it. But to be fair, Anivia is just an overall strong pick that most players don't play, and actually in Europe only Nuke Deck right now plays, and when we faced it, we kind of started to pick it up more and more and thought it was pretty good. And if a lot of blind pick options or like counter pick options are eliminated like we did, then Anivia just becomes a high priority pick.
Ну, и они говорят, что очень мало кто берет Анивию, там, в отличие, ну, кроме, возможно, Нюкдака. Origin это отметили, начали пробовать Анивию раз за разом, и она показывала все лучше и лучше, поэтому они решили взять ее.
We don't always like go for something that is counterpick to the enemy. We try to get what jumps we like, and I mean, sure, we'll pick this jump because it's better against this champion over another one, but we generally try to just get the jumps that fit our comp the best. Like before the game, we try to make a team comp that of 5 champions that fit together.
5?
Yeah, 5.
Cool.
Not 2 or 3. That's funny.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but we always try to counter pick last pick, you know, on red side or something like this, but generally it's just try to make a team comp for yourself, like 5 jumps that fit together.
I see. I'm sorry about that. In any case, looking at the group, can you guys maybe shine a light on what's happening here? Because LGD went into this group as very big favorites. Now we've seen all the things that are happening. What do you make of this group so far? Amazing.
We're underrated. Like, I think that's what we can make out of this group, because if you hear analysts talking about us, about LGD, you know, there's some thinking that we can beat KT, but I just feel like the Chinese scene overall is pretty overrated, while the EU scene is pretty underrated. Therefore, the imbalance just seems to happen.
Ну и Amazing говорит, что
A lot is going to come out of that match versus KT as well tomorrow for you guys. Huge matchup. Niels, this is your very first World Championship. This is your very first split. It was in the LCS. How have you been experiencing the pressure? Because you don't seem to be affected by it at all.
There was never actually pressure for us to perform, so like we had a goal that we just want to get top 6 in LCS and then top 2, then make it to playoffs, and then we went to the final of playoffs, and then it was like go to Worlds, and now it's kind of the same thing. We just want to play good here, and there's not really pressure on us to perform or anything. So.
Ну и Нилс говорит, что на них нет в принципе давления на то, что относительно того, что все хотят, чтобы они выиграли, что они должны выиграть, поэтому они ставят себе цели друг за другом, то есть сначала групповой этап, потом, если выйдут, то дальше, шаг за шагом себе ставить каждый раз новые цели и спокойно двигаться без всякого давления.
I feel like they may have doomed themselves for the rest.
Well, now we definitely know that Renekton and Nasus will not be together in any of their team compositions. So no mixing of...
Exactly. Well, let's be real.
What about Ray's Twisted Fate, though? They kind of made up, though.
As much as we know, we saw Anivia come out. As much as we know the Anivia was chosen for the increased damage to neutral monsters, I'm going to go ahead and hand the floor over to you guys, because maybe there's some other relevant things about her kit that we should discuss.
I love this draft. I thought it was absolutely fantastic from Origin. They get the Callista. They intentionally leave up Darius and Elise. Now, Dyrus doesn't have the broadest champion pool. We already saw that TSM banned Fiora. So what happens? The Darius pick comes out immediately. They prioritize it. But then, Braum, Lulu, Anivia. There is no way Darius is doing anything in the late game. And the casters talked about it on the cast. TSM doesn't do anything as a team before 20 minutes generally. Anivia sits in the mid lane. They already got the dragons. I mean, we'll get into that in a minute, but this is such a perfect kiting composition against what TSM chose.
And this also is my problem with Elise. Against compositions exactly like this. Compositions that do not walk towards you. Elise, what's she going to do? Flash Cocoon? There is nothing else this champion is adding to the composition. So I just don't understand why it gets such high priority, especially when they play things like Callista. They're just so high mobility. I think it confuses me. It honestly does.
I thought this was an amazing draft by Origin, but they also forced TSM into a hole where the last pick after the Anivia pretty much had to be Veigar or Victor. And then you're in a scaling war against TSM, and they have no hard engage to get onto an Anivia. I thought that was a brilliant pick, and the fact that no mid laner really has hard engage, so when you pick the Anivia in your last spot, he has some engage, right? I thought that would have actually been the better pivot, is to go with the Veigar, because then you also scale up alongside them. Maybe you can point and click and blow up Niels in the late mid game, but we'll have to see. But that was something that they didn't go with. And that was an oversight by TSM. And this is a team that has a history of not adjusting to picks that come out of nowhere in the game. They didn't know what to do against the Anivia.
I've been saying that for years about TSM, that when you surprise them with something, they adjust incredibly poorly in the game. If you give them some chances for their management, their coaches to talk to them about it outside of the game, they can make adjustments. But, I mean, it's happened so many times. Soft, Cassiopeia top, MSI, Twisted Fate, Jungle, IEM last year, Swain top lane against SK in groups last Worlds. You surprise them, they lose all of these games.
All right, I do want to jump into gameplay because we only have so much time. The dragon point that you mentioned, Origin able to secure the first dragon with a scaling mid laner on a tier when they did it.
Huge, right? Because all of a sudden, one of the ways that TSM, even with this draft, could have won this game, they got a couple turrets, but maybe you can get an early dragon, you can start to threaten that 5 dragon. But as soon as Origins with this kiting composition gets priority over dragon, takes the first one, takes the second one, then they're ready to fight. They just sit at dragon, you try and stop them, they kite you. That's it.
And they had so much more zone control within their composition. And Victor is good when he's coupled with something else, like Echo. We call it the Venn diagram comp where I am, when you can layer the circles over each other, which is
удивляются аналитики, как вообще Origin смогли взять первого дракона, когда капля у Анивии, то есть у нее практически очень мало урона по сравнению с Виктором. У Виктора намного больше, потому что он-то на АПшные итемы вкладывался в это время. Вот. Ну и плюс у Ориджинов очень хорошая команда для зонинга соперников. Там стенка от Анивии, естественно, замедление от Лулу, зверек от Лулу, подкидывание от Лулу, Брау. То есть они спокойно могли отпинаться просто. Ну, естественно, они взяли. Ну, это недостаток, конечно, игры TSM. То есть они взяли 2 вышки, у них есть преимущество по голде. Они имеют в соперниках Анивию, которая собирает капли каталист, то есть не увеличивает свой урон.
Control the pace, I guess.
Nox is saving that hold right. Crimson coming from the side as well. Santorin lands a cocoon on the myth. He gets pulled out. So he's
вот это единственный вообще момент был, когда Бёрксон мог роумить. Ну и зачем Санторин, конечно, пошел за Экспеки, который к тому времени собрал все, что он хотел, и мог просто разорвать в клочья Элизу. Ну, это глупости уже. Ну, потому что паники, потому что они уже очевидно, что проиграли эту игру. Так, ну а нас сейчас ожидает в ближайшие минуты Invictus Gaming против Cloud9. Не самый интересный и зрелищный матч вообще, ну как бы по ощущениям, которые должны вызывать эти команды. С другой стороны, Cloud9 уже удивили нас игрой на Вигаре, которая себя полностью оправдала на 100%, потому что Вигар просто расщеплял соперников и очень хорошо стакал свое АП. Хотя все-таки Вестдор показал, что он недаром считается одним из лучших мидеров. И пропавшим стримом, о чем, конечно, просто бескрайне сожалею. Ну, а Invictus Gaming, ну, они играли с Фнатиками, и Фнатики по ним прошлись. Неожиданных пиков со стороны Cloud9, тем более у Lemonation в его волшебном блокнотике все записаны, все ходы, кто что берет и что надо взять. Если вы не знаете, обратите внимание, у Lemonation всегда с собой блокнотик, в котором он всегда что-то пишет. Так, я сделаю небольшой перерыв в части комментариев и через пару минут вернусь, а пока можете понаслаждаться английской аналитикой. И, кстати, сейчас интервью будет.
That's gonna be the Nexus. That's gonna be the game. That's gonna be a trip to the World Championship for
Lemonation — это вот этот вот бородатый.
It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you can get back up.
It was definitely a big roller coaster this entire season. It felt pretty terrible at the beginning. It kind of felt like inevitably we would just lose. Right when we got high, it kind of felt like we were immediately much better.
We are 6 weeks into the season, Big Smack Daddy, and this is where we turn it around. We shall bounce back from the grid.
Even though we didn't get it down all correctly, we still were losing games. It definitely felt like way better. Like we knew what to do that game. We knew how to play together as a team.
Shifter's going to get taken out by High. A quadra kill for Sneaky as the rest of the team is just on point.
It took a while for things to get rolling, I guess, like the gears would start going. But once they did, then it started working really well. For the gauntlet, we had a very lucky run.
They could go on a miracle run to secure their third consecutive appearance at Worlds, but it has to start with today's matchup against Gravity.
We have potentially 3 best-of-5s to play. That's so many games, and they're all really good teams.
And they are able to come back from the 0-2 that Gravity put them in. Cloud9 are moving on to take on Impulse.
Huh, we beat Gravity.
Cloud9's backs against the wall. Their season ends today if they do not win this.
Cloud9 get the reverse sweep, and they're going to face Team Liquid.
We beat Tip, and then we go into the series against Liquid.
Cloud9 makes the run all the way through the regional qualifier from 7th place in the regular season to Worlds.
We pulled it through finally to make it through the gauntlet in a pretty amazing run, honestly.
I didn't even think it was possible. Like I had no dream of going to Worlds once we were, in 9th place. So actually making it is just like a dream come true.
As Hai said, it took a while to fall into place, but nobody can take away from them the achievement and the improvement that they have made as a team, especially given their solid win on day 1 of the World Championship. However, on the flip side of things, IG had a rough start on opening day against Fnatic. How do they turn that all around today?
Yeah, they need a big performance out of their jungler. There's kind of the two sides to Kakao, and I said this earlier today. He's a feast or famine. He likes to farm up or he likes to gank a lot. And I think on the world stage, the gank heavy, get your lanes ahead, especially when you have Zatai and Rookie there. Just get them ahead, please.
It affects more of the game on an overall state. If you're just farming, you're really just affecting yourself at that point. And I feel like having that carnivorous style is what people are usually going for to see success on the world stage.
Well, it's also when Kakao was in Korea, definitely he was known as a highly aggressive jungler, right? Always looking to make those plays. He's one of the greatest junglers of all time, and he needs to show up in this tournament.
Don't get me wrong, when he farms, he's still aggressive because he's taking the enemy jungler away. He just plays a very Kakao-focused style of League of Legends. When he plays the likes of Nocturne, Nidalee, these champions that can get huge late game, he needs to be on an early game powerhouse.
So let me ask you a question, Spawn. So what was it? We saw IG come up, and they were playing on 5-16 in the regionals. What was it about 5-16, if anything, that really propelled them forward to qualify for the World Championship? Because they were very inconsistent before that.
They were. I think you have to take with a grain of salt that they beat EDG in the 3rd, 4th place match. EDG just looked like they were off kilter, so I agree with you. But IG kind of came in and were able to pick up the champion pool in the top lane before any other team in China. Zatai's champ pool has always been massive, and he latched onto these carries and was able to do great things.
I want to put a microscope on the bot lane, Kid and Kitties, in relation to Cloud9. If Cloud9 does play as well as they did on the first day, how are they going to stack up against them?
I mean, I think that is a big mismatch, but Kid and Kitties, they probably had the best games I've seen, at least out of Kid, since like Season 2. In that gauntlet, or in the, not the gauntlet, but the regional qualifiers. And that was, I think, a big part of their success. But I think that was a massive overperformance.
Polarizing is a word I'm going to use in one way or the other, and generally you just don't get some good stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other side of the rift, though, we have Sneaky, who he's up against, who's been a consistent performer for Cloud9, even when they're in their slumps. This has been the lane that they fall back on constantly, and he always seems to come up big, picking Draven and snowballing it in the regional qualifier themselves, and having these picks that he's been picking up. Ashe being able to be a huge tool for the team, and I feel like that helps them out in the pick and ban phase as well.
And I feel like Cloud9's bottom lane's always been innovative. Like they, Ashe Zyra, they play Zillion, they're just great in that regard.
You mentioned,
well, they also play Karma, all right,
and Karma too, not much
right.
success. We never spoke about pick ban, and I want to hammer this home. You know, the Veigar pick day 1, if we reference the C9 versus HQ game, was a really big factor in the win there for Cloud9. Is this ban worthy against Incarnation?
I definitely think it is. His TP, he's always going to bring it. He's been spamming it in solo queue. You have to see it coming. And if you don't have a solid counter pick for it, when you counter pick a Veigar, usually an assassin, it's usually some pressure from the jungler as well.
Точно рассчитывал все, что, блин, это было
unless you have specific
приятно смотреть.
I don't know what to think about Cloud9. I knew what to think about them coming into this tournament, and they, to their credit, played a very clean, very smart game against HQ. But I also saw one of the worst Rengar games from Mountain that I've ever seen. So when the Rengar was necessary to snowball these solo lanes so they could get a split push, otherwise they were just going to be sieged to death. When HQ doesn't get that, the game tends to end quickly.
All right, well, it's about that time. Predictions, you know the drills. Irene, you're starting us off.
I'm going to go with Cloud9 on this one. I feel like they have the stronger bottom lane. Kid and Kitties are exploitable, and Sneaky is a huge powerhouse for Cloud9. Even though High has a mismatch against Kakao, if Kakao shows up like he did on the first day, which is not showing up at all, then they definitely take away the win here.
I'm going with IG here. I think they're going to step up. I have a lot of faith, especially in a jungler like Kakao against a new jungler like High. Kid and Kitties are exploitable, but I think they're exploitable by better teams than Cloud9.
Yeah, I have a theory about League of Legends that you need to bring 3 great players and then you just need 2 players to step up. I'm going with Invictus Gaming. They have 3 great players on the top side of the map, and Faker Jr. in the mid lane. Rookie is an absolute monster.
Well, as he refused to be silenced, Crumbs, who is not scheduled to join us on the desk today, will not be silenced. So Crumbs, take it away.
Come out of my man cave to tell you guys my pick, and of course it's gotta be Cloud9. And let me tell you why. Cloud9 since the beginning of time has been a team that innovates a lot. They always bring out new picks, the Ashe, the Zyra, the Karma, Draven, Zac, endless picks. And in this tournament that has had so much variety and so many drafts have been lost just in the camp select, Cloud9 is a team to go for. On top of the fact that Sneaky has performed so well, I think they're going to really put up the fight to Kid and Kitties. And to be honest, if you're on the IG side and you tell me, oh, but what about CZ Tai and the Balls matchup? Isn't that a worrying trend? Isn't CZ Tai just going to stomp all over Balls? Well, to that I tell you, aren't Balls the weakest region in all of us? You know, Cloud9, usually from the first game we learned that they know how to take that weakness from an underperforming Balls, put him in a champion that's super easy and has a huge impact like Gangplank, and just let him be, let him do his thing. So picks like Malphite, the Maokai, the Gangplank, really put him on something that you don't need much skill in, and he's going to be super useful, is how Cloud9 is going to take this. Back to you, Dash.
Nothing more needs to be said. Nothing more needs to be said. It's 2-2. We have a split desk between the analysts. Now, as we toss it over to our casters, Rookie has been following Cloud9's turbulent year and believes IG can handle the surging team from North America.
시고 선수들은 시고 팀이 예전에 되게 잘했잖아요. 하이 선수가 미드였고 그랬을 때 되게 많이 눈여겨봤고 그랬는데 아무래도 이번에는 사실 시고가 그렇게 눈에 띄지 않아서 잘 몰랐는데 하이 선수가 정글러로 가시고 롤드컵 다시 들어오셨더라고요. 그래서 경기를 몇 개 챙겨봤는데 그런 점에서 딱히 그러니까 경계가 된다거나 그러진 않지만 힘들 것 같지도 않은데 일단 어찌됐든 팀이니만큼 신경 쓰면서 방심하지 않고 준비할 생각입니다.
Hey guys, welcome back to the casting desk. Let's check out the starting lineups for our 2 teams, Cloud9 versus Invictus Gaming, and of course, IG. Wow, the French crowd. I think we know who they're cheering for. Man, IG, Z-Tai in the top lane, Kakao in the jungle, Rookie in the mid lane, Kid at ADC. And finally, down at support, his lane mate Kitties, their coach, of course, the old KT player, Mafa.
Very impressive roster for these guys. They're going to want to be bouncing back today. On the right side, though, a team that won on the first day of the tournament. Cloud9 balls in the top lane. Now in the jungle. Slimейшие команды мира, так и проиграть вообще каким-нибудь аутсайдерам. Поэтому на них сложно ставить. Поэтому данной игрой я буду просто наслаждаться. Потому что я надеюсь, что Cloud9 возьмет что-нибудь интересное, но если надо выбрать, кто победит, я все-таки думаю, что IG должны выиграть.
Cloud9's composition actually... The first 3 picks when they drafted their composition had a lot of question marks, like they're not running any tanks, how are they going to solve this problem, what can they pick to solve it, but then the combination of Veigar and Morgana together really work together, that cage into bind, Black Shield to counter some of the Juggernauts. Let's see if they get any of these champions again, because it was a good adaptation, but they did reveal their hand.
That's right. It looks like it is time to move into champ select, guys, from Victus Gaming versus Cloud9, the Vanguard band, right away, banned out as well as that Morgana.
Yeah, I also kind of feel like
Так, ну и смотрите, убрали Вейгара, потому что ну его нафиг, когда персонаж одной кнопкой может уничтожить вашего пышного игрока. Неважно, где он там, на топе, на миду, в любом случае, что разнесет. Так, и первым беру Грагоса для какао. Так, ну и баны. Подальше Вейгара, подальше Моргану от Elimination, потому что он настолько великолепно всем попадал и настолько своевременно кидал щиты, что это неприятно. Алистера, ну, видимо, тоже на всякий случай, но я не видел, чтобы Elimination там творил какие-то классные вещи на Алистере, не припомню за ним такого. Ну и баны Cloud9, Ганпланк, Лу, Мордекайзер, ну, все банально, все стандартно. И у нас идет Дариус для Болса и Браун для Elimination. Elimination на Брауне, кстати, тоже очень и очень хорош, с учетом того, что Браун в текущей мете один из сильнейших саппортов, из его вот эта способность щита блокировать все, что летит. И смотрите, Бард для Invictus Gaming. Ну и Invictus Gaming тоже показали, что они могут удивить. Так, и Бард для Incarnation. Ну, это будет что-то с чем-то. У Бренда, конечно, очень высокий урон, зашкаливающий, еще и пассивка, которая наносит процентные от макс хп. Но вот проблема с тем, что контролем все-таки сложновато им попадать, потому что здесь профессиональная лига и своих керри, и, конечно же, дефа. Поэтому, судя по всему, будет Элиза для Хая и Тристана для Сники. Да, и Invictus Gaming просто сразу же локает Север. Ну, очень хороший выбор, кстати. Потому что, смотрите, идет ульта от Барда, которая может заблокировать как фронтлайн соперников, так и заднюю линию. И в это время его команда может спокойненько разбирать соперников.
Obviously, since it doesn't matter at all because he's already there, and Bard really needs to wants to make picks too with his ultimate. So very pick oriented.
Так, ну неужели будет эко? Да, на самом деле для руки будет эко. Ну, с другой стороны, да, при удачном влете, смотрите, то есть блокируем фронтлайн и можем влетать в заднюю линию. Благодаря ульте Севир, эко с клишовые цели разносит просто в секунду, особенно в лейт-гейме. Поэтому для Cloud9 теперь очень и очень большой вопрос, кого же взять на мид. Теоретически Нивия хорошо бы зашла, то есть все их порывы после активации ульты Севир можно сразу ставить стенку и спокойненько отходить. Ну, кого они возьмут, сейчас посмотрим. Не знаю, вполне возможно Азир, да? Вот она стенка, о которой я и говорил, которая собьет весь запал Invictus Gaming. И становится очень сложно. То есть им необходимо будет перед тимфайтом каким-то образом выбивать из Азира ульту. В противном случае они мало что смогут сделать, потому что вокруг придется бегать. Поэтому, в принципе, очень грамотный пик от Cloud9. Ну и возможность безопасно фармить от Эко. Тем более Эко, когда подскочит, ну, как бы, да, нанесет урон. И в это время ему необходимо будет отходить после этого, и тут уже Азир ему напинает.
For a magical journey as we move into Invictus Gaming versus Cloud9. Oh, you know it is. You know it's going to be a magical journey. Don't be Jack.
That is the best named skill I think we've
ever
had in
League
of Legends.
It is.
Finales, Falcon.
Через 7 минут?
Yeah, sorry. It's not even called that anymore, Crepo. You're vetoed. I apologize.
There are now 300 really angry people that Crepo just reminded.
It's out there. Guys, our hashtag C9win if you think that
У меня
NA
4
squad
человека
has got what it
смотрят.
takes to win this game.
Я уже не просто так стараюсь. У меня уже 4 подписчика. Поздравьте меня.
Against a Chinese team that people, again, I feel like we're saying this a lot about Chinese teams. We're expecting a lot more from. Let's get on to the rift.
Listen, coming into this World Championship, China was seen by most
Смысл
as
попробовать себя в чем-то новом
as far as
и
overall
того, чего ты
strength,
не
center
умеешь,
world
восстановить разговорный навык. Попробуй-ка 5 часов каждый день трепаться. Ты находишь вещи, о которых можно рассказывать, постоянно не перебиваясь. Это как бы полезный навык. Ну и чем черт не шутит, а вдруг получится работать в Riot Games комментатором. Я вообще бы на 7-м небе был от счастья. Итак, смотрим за вардингом, пока у нас стандартная расстановка. Кстати, посмотрите, как вардит Invictus Gaming. Немного непонятно, чего они хотят добиться, потому что они оставили возможность спокойно пройти по краешку, просочиться. Но, с другой стороны, сложно судить, смогут ли это они пройти, то есть, в принципе, да, 2 вардами обошлись. Так. Ну и идет размен, размен лайнами. И в этот раз, кстати, смотрите, IG, то есть они не смогли ответить грамотно. А в этот раз они очень даже хорошо отвечают на европейские какие-то движения. Дабл джангл у IG и у Cloud9. Так, и Тайм у нас получает второй левел. Сейчас он пойдут. А, кстати, Demonation возвращается, и он попробует как-нибудь помешать взять. Ну, помешать он уже вряд ли, конечно, сможет. Потому что, смотрите, пуш, фаст пуш от IG. Так, а IG у нас с кем играли? Они играли с Фнатиками. То есть там они Фнатикам не смогли ответить, а сейчас точно так же сами используют фаст-пуш. Так, и синий баф до сих пор стоит у команды Cloud9, и IG не могут его взять. И в любом случае у них стоит там вард, и они будут знать, когда он будет респауниться. То есть это очень полезная информация. Смотрите, Elimination мешается, ходит. как бы он не нанесет какого-то ощутимого урона, но Incarnation проводит великолепную работу. То есть он аутфармит спокойненько. Да, он спокойненько фармит. И руки вынужден отходить. Причем, если мы сегодня видели уже Эко, причем Эко опережал по фарму на начальных этапах, то сейчас мы видим, как Incarnation просто великолепно. И Зизитай, смотрите, он сколько наносит урона Сники, потому что его доблестный саппорт на боте. И Гнару, в принципе, очень удобно стоять, он тоже рейнджовый персонаж. И может спокойненько, безопасно фармить под Тристана, и как мы видим, он ее еще и прожимать умудряется. Поэтому по сравнению с Дариусом, которому для фарма необходимо подойти вплотную, ну там не считая, конечно, удара топором, однако так, смотрите, Incarnation вообще не боится, и сейчас вот нет. Очень и очень был Incarnation близок к тому, чтобы убить руки. И руки, несмотря на то, что он телепортировался, он до сих пор отстает по фарму. Причем уже довольно-таки серьезно. Так, а Какао в это время, так как Элиза показалась, на боте он спокойненько фармит верхнюю линию чужого леса. А руки, в принципе, в ожидании ганка на себя. И обратите внимание, руки вообще не используют сферу, чтобы каким-то образом отзонить Азира. То есть каждого крипа ему приходится отвоевывать, и за каждого крипа он получает. Так, и возможно сейчас будут дайвить Болза, потому что смотрите, сейчас будет большой Гнар и должен быть килл, да, Фестблад, и Зизитай благополучно упрыгивает, потратив флэш. С другой стороны, у Дариуса тоже нету флэша, поэтому ничто не мешает Градусу зайти туда еще раз. И смотрите, телепорт от Дариуса идет, телепорт от Гнара. А нет, Гнар возвращается и... Да, Гнар у нас после тимфайта, поэтому не смог сразу же влететь. Смотрите, и сейчас возможен килл. Нет, отфлешивается Incarnation. Уже нет, да, нет ульты у руки. И вот тебе и доминирование Азира. У Азира сейчас нету маны, поэтому придется ему отойти. Руки у нас идет за синим бафом. Так, и смотрите, какие ставки на Cloud9. 82% пользователей Твиттера ставят на них. И никто не верит в Invictus Gaming. Они взяли ФБ. Но с другой стороны, даже с учетом ФБ, они сейчас на равных с Cloud9 по голде. Потому что Сники аутфармит Кида и Азир аутфармит Эко, однако там, благодаря
Balls is still level 5.
Гнару.
Seems like, I mean, if you have a
И
Darius
еще
on your
как-то
team,
держится
you have to remember there's a Darius on your team. Give him a little bit of
на
help.
плаву.
Let the guy get ahead a little
Ну
bit. He's
и
supposed to
у
be
нас
the one that comes in
все
and
хорошо у
does ton of
Гнара.
damage. You can't do that in
Он
this
может
situation.
наносить
He's still level
процентный
7
урон.
to
Смотрите,
level
сейчас
5
будет
Centaur.
большой
Right,
ульта.
throws balls
И
against the wall.
крип,
Balls,
крип.
minions get in trouble.
Спасает
Stuns.
Болза.
Little bit of minion taking, helping out
Так,
there.
и
Oh, the
сейчас
Q misses.
Зизитай.
Flash cocoon.
Да, смог.
Misses Zitai. He's
Есть.
gonna back
Нет,
away.
ульты нету, еще ударился. Он пытается получить 6-й левел. Однако ничего не получится. И фейл инкарнейшна. Очень неудачно он ультанул. И Эко смог благополучно убраться. Не закинул его под вышку, как планировал Азир. И смотрите, то есть Эко у нас первым взял дефитом. Ну а Голубь собирает у нас жало, естественно, и первым митомом он взял кодекс, чтобы была возможность чаще харасить Эко, потому что с этим у него все хорошо. Так, ну а Тристана сейчас вернула просто маны Севир, благодаря ее щиту. И благодаря Барду они могут очень долго сустейнить лайн, потому что хилки. Ну и стоять, фармить, их задача сейчас фармить и не умереть, и ждать ганка. Смотрите, и руки раз за разом играют агрессивно. Инкарнейшн, конечно, и да, ульт прошел, и нет, и все-таки успела откатиться. Успела откатиться Ешка. Так, и сейчас будет ульта, да. И сейчас очень неудачно стоял Зизитай. Да, конечно, будет килл, тут несомненно. Так, и отлично. Отлично, сейчас, возможно, умрет Кит. Да, он умирает. И сейчас умрет Сники. Нет, умрет Лимонейшн. Нет. Лимонейшн перед смертью успел все-таки выдать пушку. И застанила Эко, поэтому Эко не сделал даблкилл. Ну и посмотрите, как великолепно сыграл Сники. Ну, сейчас должна быть 3-1, по идее. Руки, кстати, решает не тратить. И Грагас сменит его на миду, потому что там как раз подошла волна крипов. Нельзя давать пропадать крипам. Так, и синий баф у нас уходит для Азира. Смотрите, ведь хорошо ультанули, в принципе, но однако вот она, коварная пассивка, и смотрите, Браун перед смертью успел выдать кушку и автоатаку, и благодаря этому Тристана имела возможность спастись. Так, ну а Руки готовится собрать скипетр на магнезист и пробивание. И смотрите, насколько сильно он уже продамаживает Инкарнейшена, и лесники у нас с противоположных сторон застыли, и смотрите, отталкивают, и ульта у Руки, и он оказывается с другой стороны, благополучно избежав этого ганка. Так, Какао вовремя заметил паучка. Так, и Лимонейшн тут как тут. И смотрите, как мы видим, Элиза опять через рунную глифу Так ли это будет оправдано? Потому что, ну, на мой взгляд, это не оправдано, потому что у них и так достаточно урона. То есть у них есть 2 гиперкерри, у них есть Тристан, у них есть Азир, у них есть урон с Дариуса. Им нужен чистый танк, потому что, ну, у Тристана, у Элизы дополнительно процентный урон от максимального ХП и от недостающего здоровья. То есть ты и так очень-очень неплохой урон можешь наносить, даже являясь чистым танком. Но решают, видимо, все-таки филиться. Так, смотрите.
Yeah, and with Rookie being in the mid lane right there, he ends up getting caught right now.
Так, извиняюсь за отсутствие. В очередной раз меня подводит Wi-Fi роутер.
I did that math correctly. Yeah, over 1,600 gold behind right now.
So that actually means it's incredibly critical that Cloud9 can play around Zatai's teleport timing. As long as Zatai has his teleport timing up, IG can win any fight. But if he ever burns that, the other 4 members of Cloud9 actually have a gold advantage over IG. And that's where they're going to want to force their plays.
Все хорошо.
No pressure to stop teleport and
Мы вернулись.
Sneaky doing what he can to put a little bit of pressure on that bot lane, just getting a little bit more farm.
И нам показывают гол. В принципе, Руки еще и опережает по голду. Ну, у него, естественно, 2 килла. И с другой стороны, Incarnation не так сильно отстает, потому что он аутфармит на 30 с лишним крипов. И сейчас готовится снос, видимо, вышки на миду, потому что... А нет, все смещаются на бот. И да, это будет вышка на боте. Если сейчас IG очень срочно и быстро чего-нибудь не попробует сделать,
it can take down turrets in contested scenarios as well as uncontested scenarios. NA teams have much more practice with, and it's paying big dividends here in the first week.
You know, I gotta say, too, they banned out the Morgana against Lemon Nation. He just picks up the Braum, does an amazing job with it, too. In the middle of team fights, we saw him individually attacking people, setting up those passives, setting up those stuns.
Especially against Sivir. If you watch later on those team fights, we didn't touch on it too much. Very often, his shield was blocking so many bouncing blades, ricochets, like boomerangs from Kid. That's why his damage was so low in these fights.
That's right, guys. It looks like it's time to send it down to Shocks for our post-game interview.
Thank you very much, guys, indeed, with the victorious C9. And it's Sneaky and High that have joined me here for this interview after... I'm gonna be honest. An incredible win over IG, in my opinion. A couple of things I want to ask you about. First off, coming into this game and Balls getting pretty far behind, on the other hand, having the advantage in the bottom lane. How did you try and even everything out?
I'd say that's kind of our fault that we got Balls in that position, because I couldn't push into the top wave fast enough to get it to reset fully. So now I was able to get a pretty big advantage off that. And I only got like a small level lead, which is hard to push as an AD carry. So it was a bit rough. We had to take turret and then rotate to mid to really get any sort of advantage for ourselves.
Yeah, that did work out very well. And then there was this phase in the game where
every time, and you have to do it to gauge to see what they do, so that in the future you can make the right call on it.
you still have to play it out in the end. Sneaky, especially, you had some very good moves in those endgame team fights together with Incarnation. Tell me about the synergy with him, because it seems ever since you rejoined the team and since the regionals, that synergy with Incarnation, just his level of play, has gone up tremendously.
Well, I'd say we've become pretty good friends with him over the course of the season. It's started a little bit rough because we were losing all the time, but as we kept winning, and once we brought high in, the morale was like super up there, and now it's even better. So it's been a pretty good road with us.
Losing together, winning together, and right now it's winning 2-0 so far. Tell me how kind of your idea, your mindset, your momentum has changed from coming in as the absolute underdog in this group to doing amazing things. Hi.
Well, I came into this not thinking I was the underdog because for me, I need to think that we are the best team for me to make the calls that a winning team would do. So if you go into a game not thinking you're going to win, I'll probably make like a bad call and that like, I don't know, I just assume I'm better than them even if we're not so I can make the correct calls. And it's very important that I think that way and it's been working out pretty great.
Sneaky.
I kind of just play it as it goes. I don't really look at the names much. I have nameplates on, but I don't think about it. There's no fear factor there. I just kind of play my own game.
Definitely showed step 6, world domination. How's that going?
Over 2-0. Pretty damn good.
Well, congratulations. Pretty damn good indeed. Sneaking high. Congratulations. C9. 2-0 in this group. Who'd have thunk it? Back to you guys.
Thank you, Shocks. Zyreen's a happy man. He called it. So surprises coming out of Group B yet again. A win there for Cloud9. Not as easy as you may have expected through the early game. I want to hit on, though, what Hai mentioned there, Zyreen, the mindset of needing to play from a place where he can make the decisions that a winning team would make.
It's really funny because I've actually played alongside Hai in ranked games before and in ranked 5s, and he micromanages everybody, and when he's in the mindset of we're better than these guys, he's constantly telling you things like go here, do this, test that, and he's making sure that you're pushing up, going back, you always know what you need to do. So he's basically the puppeteer of Cloud9. He is the chess master, and when he's in his mindset and he's in his groove, you definitely see it. And I think it's extraordinarily important that he's able to do that on the world stage. And he was up against Kakao, who's definitely a world-class jungler and has a history of being an incredible jungler, and he didn't let up the pressure. He didn't let that get to him. Just amazing psychological mindset.
Monty, that's what just amazes me about that he can keep track of his own position, and on top of that, we know he's a very, very micromanaging style of shot caller, like Zyreen was saying. And to have both of these things simultaneously is really, I think, quite unique to him as a player, and has always, always, always given Cloud9 one of their biggest strengths.
But now I want to talk about the hole that they dug for themselves, that Sneaky did mention, because this can't be a trend that can continue throughout the entire tournament, because there is going to be a time when they can't come back from a deficit between their top laners, but it is a team effort to make sure that that top laner gets off on the right foot.
Yeah, you aren't always going to go up against Kid and Kitties in the bot lane and get this large advantage to kind of compensate for that. But definitely bouncing the wave appropriately. You heard Sneaky talking about how they didn't set balls up. It is a team effort. It is not just balls there from the get-go.
It's early picking top laners that are brutally melee and have very little good range matchups. Like, that's as easily as we can point it out. Like, Darius came into this, and sure, he was a power pick, but you play him on day one, you see that there are counter picks out there, and then you stop playing him in a blind fashion. Pick him into the Olafs, pick him into other champions that he can have success, or get him a 1v1 lane and gank it repetitively, because one thing Darius does bring is a fantastic 2v2.
And one of the aspects I think that we're seeing with some of these North American teams is that it's a region of weak top laners, so these teams are not used to setting their tops up properly to succeed because they're so unused to even getting carries out of that position, right? We can talk about Zion Spartan and his dominance, but even he had a pretty poor first game up against the Flash Wolves. Right? There's been a lot of aspects where we take a look at KT, we take a look at SKT. These are teams that know how to play around carry tops, and they give them a wealth of resources.
Well, you know what we are good at, though, is taking an AD carry advantage and transitioning that into mid lane. Both CLG and Cloud9 do that, and they play to their strengths in this tournament, and it's working out for them. Despite it being a top lane bruiser-focused meta, we're still finding ways to open up games from the bot lane.
And that is one thing I will say, is I really like the addition of Tristana when you have Darius, because that champion has so much self-PL, and the ability to be able to reposition around teamfights, chunk people out to set Darius up for success. Didn't happen in this game, but I have a feeling that when the likes of the SKTs start playing these champions together, that it is going to be fireworks across the world.
Yeah. Ability to siege turrets. Now, what does this do? This hides balls. He doesn't really have to do anything at all. He can be behind. They will get him global gold and make him pseudo... I'm not going to say he was relevant, because he really wasn't relevant in this game, but sort of relevant, a warm body for cooldowns to be used upon. But other than that, if some of these mid laners where they can effectively siege with get banned, that's my question. Where does Cloud9 go? Because somebody's going to crack this code about the sieging style, and C9 has to have another response.
Yeah, we did see evidence of that. He was at 1.2K down within a single push through the top, securing 2 turrets. From that global gold, brought him within only a 1K deficit, so they're able to make swings there. But as you said, we'll see if they can adapt if and when they are forced to. Right now, AHQ Esports and Fnatic are setting up on stage for our final game of the day. We'll be bringing you that matchup right after this. Stay with us.
Remember, you're in charge of your enemy person. Keep track of him like a hawk keeps track of a mouse. That's a nice meme, dude. We'll be the hawk, they'll be the mouse in this game.
Nice meme, dude.
We go hunting.
Speaking of teleports, they're coming in out of this bot lane. Kitty's in a lot of trouble. Kitty's come back in, gets very well taken out. Immediately the revenge of balls.
Here we got it. Echo. Get up.
We lose the fight. We lose the fight.
There's super chuck. Run. Yeah, he jumped over. Nice. You get him. He has no ulti. Take a jab. And they're chunked.
Balls does go down there in the middle of all of it. IG trying to turn around, but it looks like C9 has now triple kill for Sneaky. The damage from Azir and from Sneaky is so big. Double kill for Azir already. And they complete the 2-0 already at Worlds.
И волшебный блокнотик Lemonation продолжает делать свое дело. Видимо, там на самом деле записаны все ходы, еще и будущее их соперников. Поэтому они имеют возможность предсказывать будущее, кого взять. И пока эти предсказания вполне себе сбываются.
Come on more.
Interesting though, the way HQ interrupted them, really changed the reckless state. He went around.
Whoops.
That was huge, and specifically credit to Hooney for getting the apprehend during the Gnar jump. We've seen so many Darius Gnar ganks be attempted where that apprehend does not catch the Gnar. But Hooney was able to do it.
HQ felt comfortable because Always canceled 2 backs and they thought Hooney was actually being swapped out to the bot lane. They actually just pathed it around together with Rainover. Well, Ziv into a fake sense of security and then punished that. That was actually a very creative play there by Fnatic. Meanwhile on the bot lane, on and call him whatever you want, he's just freezing, not putting any pressure. All in a row.
West door takes the south door out of the mid lane to try to escape with his life. Won't need to burn any summoners, it looks like.
It's an effective door to take.
It is.
Yeah, here. I do have to mention that the 80 carry priority from AHQ is really huge, and the fact that they forfeited so much and still not gained a major advantage for and over Reckless is disastrous for AHQ. As far as 80 carry CS differential at 10 minutes goes, AHQ had the highest of any team at Worlds with over 10 coming into this, and Reckless is actually a pretty conservative laner, so if AHQ is going to win something, it would have been that 80 carry matchup, but with the way these lane swaps are being engineered, Fnatic is just winning across all fronts.
Hooney hasn't got that much CS though, he's still even CS here with Ziv overall because of the way... Yeah, obviously he was part of that first spot, so he's definitely in a comfortable position. Overall, just due to the level 1 start, HQ, they did something really kind of cool on the world stage, which is a single quadrant start jungle with no backup plan.
Так, давайте обновим. Так, все, извиняюсь за задержку. Бедный роутер. К сожалению, когда слишком много устройств подключено по Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi роутер у меня перестает справляться, и мы видим вот такие пропадания. Ну, к счастью, мы вернулись. В этот раз я посмотрел и смотрим. Жнеца собрала Last Whisper. Все-таки, ну, потому что уже, в принципе, есть кого пробивать. У нас и Ариана давно уже, кстати, закончила Жоню. Ну, да, в принципе, можно. То есть сейчас она будет еще быстрее, и как только она соберет кровопийцу, это будет прям вообще нечто. Так, ну, Лиза у нас идет в АП. Они хотят увеличить бёрстовый урон. который существует в команде. И за счет
taking care of their side of the map right now. They've cleared out most of the wards. They've gotten a little bit of vision around the Baron. What do you do if you're a Fnatic? How do you make sure you secure this Baron?
You ward your flanks. That is the most important part right here. You can't get into any situation where either Ziv or Westor comes from behind because both of them
Ой, ошибку, конечно, сделаю, но я не хочу как-то Титанс.
More importantly, Fnatic needs to calm down. They have continually gotten an edge from smart play and then lost it with some foolish, almost nervous looking.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for Go there almost in the bot lane, and it's getting him upset. Seen a couple of aggressive flashes from him, but it just wasn't necessary at all.
Yeah, I mean they've looked needlessly desperate in some of their plays, and needlessly frantic in some of their
Торнадо Рокс, ну, ближайшие очень и очень много лет они не увидят чемпионатов мира. Потому что они даже не смогли пройти через Wildcard. Так, и Дариус у нас сбегает со своего лайна. Так вот, посмотрите игры Бангкок Титанс и Pen Gaming и как они выступают. Так вот, Роксы играют еще хуже, поэтому шансов у них пока нет абсолютно никаких. Абсолютно. И сейчас будет большой Гнар. Вот сейчас он хорошо, в принципе, попал. Убивает рейндж-ховера. Хуни. И пошла ульта. Ульта зацепила Фабивана. И теперь следующий. Так, и Джинкса имеет возможность напинать всем. И теперь тимфайт получился 3 в 2. Так, или 3 в 1 даже. То есть вот чего стоило опасаться Фнатикам. Затягивать. У них всего 1 стан на всю команду. И если убить сразу, то есть смотрите, очень хорошо подошел Гнар в большой форме, у него была возможность, он зацепил Yellow Star и Хуни, да, рейндж-ховер под ультой, однако имели возможность спокойно дамажить. Смотрите, и Вестдор ушел, и чуть-чуть рановато ульта от Фабивана прошла. Она совершенно не зацепила Вестдора, то есть могло маленько быть чуть-чуть по-другому. Но Вестдор, в принципе, не участвовал, потому что у него слишком маленький рейдж в этом тимфайте. Он принял довольно пассивное участие, больше как зрителя. И если он еще сможет влететь тоже. Поэтому... Так, смотрите, и не успел уйти на трезубец. И Фабиан снимает ему где-то 20-25%. И очень... Ну, в принципе, да. То есть, смотрите, Банша на Элизе, то есть она может себе позволить фейс-чекать, ее все равно не утащить. Так, ну и смотрим. Сейчас будет большой Гнар, то есть будет влет. Вестдор рядом, и Фнатики отходят, потому что на самом деле страшно, что сейчас влетит Гнар. То есть они очень грамотно поступили. Так, а смотрите, Вестдор в это время пушит. И смотрим. Да, падает не так быстро. И смотрите. И вот это должно быть плохо для Фнатиков, потому что у них очень мало хп уже, а Джинкса с фулл хп, и ни о каком нашоре тут не идет речь. Им бы как-нибудь уйти, безопасно, конечно, чтобы отдефать лайн. То есть очень хорошо. Если бы была Джинкса вместо Сивир, было бы поинтересней для Фнатиков. быстрее бы падал дракон. Ну, а Джинкса у нас последним собирает, естественно, Баншу, и это четвертый дракон для HQ. И для них становится все лучше и лучше, как только они снесут еще 2 вышки, которые являются разницей, то они выйдут вперед по голде над фанатиками, и все шансы появляются у HQ выиграть эту игру. Так, а Джинкса у нас решают, что Клинс
His spacing just in general. Rage bar management and spacing on R is the two most important things you can do, and he does it beautifully. Every fight so far he's come
да,
out
вполне возможно, что это и правильное решение, но тут уже больше на усмотрение, конечно, самого ДК, потому что, ну, Сивир может сбить Баншу бумерангом, зацепив там случайно. Рейнджховер может топором снять Баншу. И очень нехороший влет. Так, а Альбус пытается выжить и выживает Рейнджховер. Так, и сейчас умрет, должен умереть Хабивен. И, собственно, что и происходит. Так, и сейчас умрет Реклс. Так, и следующий Рейнджховер. Yellow Star, и остался в единственном числе Хуни, и я думаю, это Нашор, либо вышка. Скорее всего, вышка, потому что 40-секундный дефтаймер. И это вышка, ингибитор и дракон. И Хуни сегодня косячит. Хуни бесполезен. Кстати, да, они даже пытаются. Они пытаются сносить. И вполне возможно, Джинкса сейчас должна переключиться на пулемет. Естественно. Так, и отгоняют ультой. И я думаю, это игра для HQ. Сейчас умрет Хуни должен... Нет, его просто игнорируют, и неожиданно HQ побеждает фанатиков. Естественно, это недостаток вообще композиции, которую создали фнатики своими пиками. И, ну, мне очень не понравился, потому что один стан на команду в современной мете, ну, это как-то очень слабо. Плюс они решили, что они уверены, что Вездор возьмет Физа, и это как бы будет известным фактом, и они готовы к этому пику. Да, Риана была готова к этому пику, но контроля нету. Да, замедлений куча, но у HQ была намного лучшая композиция. И пик Сивир, он тоже довольно спорный. То есть, да, вы можете очень быстро бегать. Посмотрите, как носился Олаф, как просто, я не знаю, какой-то псих с топорами. То есть под ультой, под хостом, под ускорением от Сивира и Арианы, он просто реактивный, я не знаю, это Рамос на хоумгвардах через ворота Джейса. Вот что это было. Однако, ну, носился и все. Он не мог ничего сделать. Вот в чем проблема была. А Джинксу имели возможность дефать, плюс отлично отыграл Зив. Недаром его тоже, кстати, включили в 20-ку сильнейших игроков по версии Риотов. И он великолепно отыграл. У него, посмотрите, отличный счет. Потом можно будет в статистике матча посмотреть на сайте LoL Esports, естественно, кликнув по пункту. Давайте на кого-нибудь нажмем, посмотрим. То есть подбита нет статистика, нет. Да, вот. View Builders. И вот, здесь вы сможете посмотреть статистику матча. То есть счет великолепный просто у Гнара. Ну и правильно расставили приоритеты. То есть выжить. Как только Джинкса получила клинс с Сильвера, то есть она могла снимать стан Анечки. Все, на этом игра практически закончилась, потому что и так не страшно. У них был там Кенч, который мог вытащить своего АДК или Физа, но как бы он больше опекал, естественно, Джинксу. И он вытащил, не раз вытащил Джинксу из опасной ситуации, и она могла давить. А Джинкса это гиперкерри. Не забываем об этом. То есть с ней может сравниться, ну разве что Тристана, потому что у Вейн не такой, у Вейн и Калисты, которые тоже являются, естественно, гиперкерри, у них не такой рейндж. Они не могут издалека, из безопасного расстояния наносить урон. А Джинкса может. И очень хорошо отыграла Джинкса, и там Кенч, благодаря своим перемещениям, то есть у него была возможность и завардить на Шора, когда Фнатики там собирались, не раз помогал ганкать лайн, когда там Гнара пытались гнобить, не раз. И сейчас интервью с Зифом, топером.
To take this win off one of the favorites.
Каково чувствовать себя после победы, когда их считали самым слабым звеном этой группы?
那你们现在对这种感受如何？
就是觉得很开心，因为毕竟我们第一场打得并不是很好，所以这算我们的开壶这样子。
We're really happy to get this win because we didn't play that well during our first match, and this is our first win, so we're happy to have that.
So you guys played very well in this match. We know you're the Summer Split MVP over in the LMS, and we were looking forward to what you could do here. Tell me about this matchup versus Huni, one of the best top laners in EU.
Ну и Зив является MVP регулярного чемпионата Лиги Тайваня, поэтому каково было ему чувствовать себя при игре с Хуни, лучшим топером?
我觉得 Huni 在对线上就是表现得非常凶，所以我觉得他很容易在一些失误之后马上想把他打回来，所以我觉得这是我们很容易找到他失误的地方。
I think Huni plays really aggressive. And when he makes a mistake, he always tries to get it back. So whenever he makes a mistake and tries to be even more aggressive, we capitalize on that.
Can you explain a little more? Was that the key to beating Fnatic? Did they get overconfident in the game?
解释一下说，是因为你觉得 Huni 是不是太自信了，所以这是你们打败他们的其中一个原因？
其实也不太算是，算是我们团队上配合比较好。
Not entirely. We think we had a better team fights and better chemistry.
You had incredible team fights and incredible shot calling at the end of that game, so congratulations. With this, what does this mean for you guys? How far do you think you can go in this group, knowing that you just took down Fnatic?
你们的确是团队打得很好，那你们已经拿下这个胜利了。那接下来的这些比赛，你觉得你们在小组的出现机会大不大？然后对小组的看法？
那我觉得我们只要在保持这状态，我们的出线几率就很高。然后小组上 IG 好像状态也不太好，所以 C9有点就是超乎预料的强，所以我们觉得下一场对上 C9 我们要认真的讨论那个选角之类的。
I think if we capitalize on this and if we keep our condition up, there's a good chance that we'll get out of the group. It seems like IG isn't conditioned that well either. But C9 has surprised, Cloud9 has surprised everybody's expectations, and now we're paying more attention to him. We'll be very careful preparing our next
Говорит, что если HQ наберут форму, то они смогут очень показать достойную игру, потому что Invictus Gaming показывает очень нестабильную игру, и могут проигрывать, однако
I
Cloud9
feel like bonkers is a
могут
good word.
удивлять очень и очень
When
сильно.
Cloud9 is sitting 2-0 atop the
Ну
group.
и
That's not
послушаем
even our
аналитик
best
Desk,
team from
как они
NA.
будут
That's our 7th best team.
посыпать
Come on,
голову
yes,
пеплом.
NA strongest region.
Okay, well then, I humbly suggest something I've been suggesting for a long time, which is that we move to, you know, we had Battle of the Atlantic in the offseason, Pacific Scrim.
There it is.
Yeah, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2. Let's do it.
I like this idea. I'll pitch it to the execs.
Cool.
I'll pitch it to the execs.
It's catchy.
China wants nothing to do with
Обращает
it.
внимание, что
Keep us out of it. All right, but in all seriousness, this game,
игра происходила вообще в
early on,
постоянных
we were looking
дуэлях
at it saying,
1 на
oh,
1,
okay,
2 на 2,
Fnatic,
и
typical
все
Fnatic,
постоянно
they're building an
дрались
early
и
lead,
не
2K
отходили
very early
от
on,
боя.
and then AHQ clawed their way back into it. Ziv, that man on the screen there, was a huge role in that as well.
Why you gotta do this to me? I just said Fnatic would go 6-0 and then AHQ actually shows up. No, I was really glad to see that AHQ got it together. This is much more what we were expecting from this team, not the pitiful first game that they showed us.
And you know, Ziv had a great role, and I will talk about it, but Arn, they put so much into it. They refused to knock the turret down because they want to get levels and farm onto this guy, and when it gets to late game, and Arn, whatever you want to call him, he is an amazing AD carry.
Well, what I love about the
Говорит, что
draft
типа
here is
Жнеца
they
очень
picked
хорошо
Tom Kench.
фармила,
They
выиграла
picked Tom
весь
Kench
день.
for On.
Ну,
Every time
естественно,
On is in
та же
trouble because
Гипер,
there's an
Керрис,
Olaf and an Annie. They're going to run straight at him. He's like, oh my god, he's going to be there, oh my god. And he clenches for the Kench, and he gets inside the belly, and then he just runs away. It was so good. I loved Albus in these fights. The way he was picking him up and running, the direction he was running was always really good. He was never put in a bad position, and he even used it to bait a couple times. So the way that this Tom Kench was played out, I think was a great debut and showcase of what the champion can do. And I don't think this is the last that we'll see with him, especially in teams that love protecting their lead.
Yeah, with these low mobility hyper carries, Tom Kench becomes incredibly relevant. And you can see that this is something they had really practiced coming into this match, that they knew exactly. Albus was so aware of cooldowns and when he could eat the jigs and when he could spit the jigs back out safely.
And let's talk about what that does to the rest of the team fight, because all of a sudden, mid laner, top laner, no need to peel. You can just dive the heck out of the enemy backline, and that's what we saw time and time again. Westall flying in on his fizz. You have this Meganar nailing people with a wallop. It wasn't even the Meganar half the time, and across the board, AHQ thrive in chaos, and that is exactly what those fights were.
Exactly. It's so hard to go for proper target selection when there's a Gnar in the middle of your team, a 40% CDR phase, and that's when the breakpoint started happening, where he's able to playful trickster, Zonia's Q, playful trickster again, and then if you go for the Jinx, Tom Kench has that person's back, and then hitting the Tom Kench doesn't seem that useful either. So really, going after this composition was extraordinarily difficult, not to mention just to add icing on top of the cake, Elise can recover. He didn't have a really solid target to go after, except for Ziv, but he got ahead and he got the take.
So AHQ has showed us some of what we're looking for here. They finally showed up, as you said, Monty, in this game. Now let's flip to the other side, because Fnatic, we were expecting them to do well. This is a team that everyone's expecting to do well, if not finish first in this group. What have we learned about them after this game?
Their mid laner is really good. Like, really, really good. He was 130 CS up. He dictated the pace of the lane. He nailed some shockwaves. Sure, late game team fighting got difficult, but I think it's because of the reasons we listed. He is a very good player.
He is. Now, he also had a blind pick Fizz into him, so he did have some more opportunities. I'd love to see HQ get some more Ari in there, which is one of Westeros champions who was safer in that blind pick. But man, Fnatic, I think we're seeing over the course of this tournament, no one really knew what this patch was, 5.18. And I think we're learning that there are a lot of options against Darius. Yes. And I think we're going to see, starting in the next few days, much lower priority on that pick.
All right, well, let's pull up the standings to see how things have changed after today's games. Group A had the day off, so CLG remains at the top 2-0, followed by the Flash Wolves and True Tigers tied for second. Then in Group B, it's clear skies for Cloud9, who are flying high above HQ, Fnatic, and IG. SK Telecom controls Group C with 3-0, while EDG settles in second.
Золушка, которая закончила в самом низу турнирной таблицы в регулярном чемпионате Северной Америки. Пока на сухую посмотрим,
Sneaky Incarnation. That was a beautiful dragon fight by Cloud9. Let's check out your World Play of the Day.
В игре с Fnatic.
Could start getting the kills. Kakao with
one, though. Balls does go down there in the middle of all that. IG trying to turn around, but it looks like C9 has enough. Triple kill for Sneaky.
See how Incarnation and Sneaky do work here.
Давайте посмотрим, что нас ожидает завтра.
And Incarnation actually doesn't have the perfect ult, but it still zones Kakao and Rookie off to the side.
Завтра вот она. Классная
this
игра.
fight to me just showcased the strength of those two players, given all the things we talked about with Balls having been behind and fighting to even stay relevant in the game. They have to rely and fall back on these two carries so much to carry them through these games.
It was a great core. They had a great laning phase as well. Both of them were about 40-50 CS up between Incarnation and Sneaky. And they were able to fall back on their shoulders and allow them to win the game. I did think that teamfight was a great showcase of the position that Sneaky can have on that team and how he's been a consistent threat throughout the split. Even when his team isn't doing too well, he still holds positions like that and holds it.
Well, if you want to see more plays like that, make sure to meet us back here tomorrow for the final day of Week 1. We'll be starting the day off in Group D as TSM challenges China's LGD Gaming. Then it's on the KT Roster versus Origin. After that, Invictus will face off against A2 Esports. The action gets underway at 2 p.m. Central European Time, 5 a.m. Pacific. So mark your calendars. Looking at the lineup, though, gentlemen, which of these games are you keeping your eye on to close out our week?
Завтра встречается HQ и Invictus
CLG
Gaming.
Flash Wolves. That's the one I'm looking at personally, because I think that CLG might have a chance to close it out against the Flash Wolves.
Вообще просто сложно представить себе. То есть Invictus Gaming пока показывает стабильную и нестабильную игру. То есть не получается у них мид-лейтовая часть игры. Ну а HQ удивили. То есть мы от них ждем, в принципе, новых побед. И будет любопытно, если они пройдут дальше. Не забываем, что в Mid-Season Invitation они дошли до полуфиналов, где уступили Фнатикам. И смотрите, они, кстати, поквитались. Зря зарекался. HQ поквитались со Фнатиками за свое поражение. Следующая игра, естественно, Cloud9 против Фнатиков. Смотреть обязательно. Чего ожидать от нее, не знаю. Фнатики, наверное, должны поработать над своими ошибками и вернуться к своему спокойному стилю игры, то есть когда они фармят, доходят до мидлейтовой части и такие, ну все, теперь мы набрали себе итемов, мы готовы драться и все, уничтожают соперников. Но от Cloud9 ждем, чем они удивят в этот раз. Следующая игра Cloud Tigers против Counterlogic'ов. Смотрим, сильнее ли Америка корейской команды. Ну, далеко не самые сильные, конечно, но в любом случае будет любопытное противостояние. Ну и ждем очередной победы Flash Wolves'ов над PM Gaming. У них есть все шансы, абсолютно все шансы получить дополнительное очко и оставаться на втором месте. Поэтому завтра в то же время, в том же месте приходите на мой канал. Буду рад вас видеть. С вами был Мастер Айван. Спасибо за внимание. Пока.